Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod AEW edition. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, my mom's favorite podcast host, Powerhouse, Dave Alinovich.
Loser house. Like, I hope I am succeeding in failure as much as Will Hobbs.
Unfortunately, I think Will Hobbs was injured house in that match. Kind of bummed me out at the end of the show there.
Sorry, we can't have nice things.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. I hope he's okay.
I also hope he's okay.
But I not to get into it too much, but I'm kind of with you. I don't think I would have booked him to lose a match. I mean, I couldn't have win that one, but I just probably wouldn't have booked it.
No.
After watching it, I'm like, I really was hoping Powerhouse would make a world title kind of run here. And
Yeah.
I mean, if he's injured, I guess it's moot, but I wouldn't have had him booked to lose as clean as he did.
Nope.
It's like,
This was Welcome Back, Moxley. Look at my new jewelry. Daly's Place Homecoming.
But to the bigger picture, David,
Yes, sir.
what were your thoughts on AEW Dynamite this week?
I liked it. It felt like a big show, a really big show, and some things, as usual with Dynamite, I hated, and then some things I really liked. Like I can't be more specific than that. The things I hated are not just like personal gripes. It's really concerning gripes. Because they miffed a couple things on this show coming off of a pay-per-view that kind of is inexcusable.
They took a few big swings, which I'm always happy about.
Yeah.
Not everything worked 100% for me either.
No.
I didn't have any big gripes as far as like content of the show. My biggest gripe is it's been 5 years now, right? They've been around 2019, so 5 years.
Yeah.
The broadcast on TBS. I watched this show, full disclosure. I prefer the fight stream. It's always just superior. So I do like the VPN, watch the British version on Fight TV or I guess it's Triller TV now. Mm-hmm. And that was great when I watched it initially when I watched it shortly after it aired. But then today I went back to grab some stuff for the show, and I noticed, and then people were talking about it online as well. The TBS broadcast, the sound was trash. Like there were parts that I wanted to go back and watch, and I didn't have Triller pulled up, so I'm like, oh, I got TBS right here, I'll do it. That I couldn't really hear kind of important promo stuff. That
there was no audio in the microphones. I feel like in the back, like whoever was in charge of mixing the show did a terrible job.
Yeah,
because
and that shouldn't be happening.
You just heard what the crowd at Daly's Place heard. By the way, Jacksonville, Florida, Daly's Place is the venue.
And I think that's why it felt like a special show. They usually do try to make those.
And it looked cool. And
I love Daly's Place.
Yeah.
And usually it's like, but if you're gonna be if they're gonna be locked in anywhere production wise, it should be there. It's the place that they've by far had the most experience running that building.
1000%.
It is it's a very different layout than it was with the new big giant screens and stuff.
That's
but
why it looked good.
I think I like the look of it,
Yeah.
but that shouldn't affect the sound. Was not an excusable thing. to me.
No, those are, and that was a perk, and that was going to be one of my I don't know if this is even a hot take. They should run that building once a month,
I love
all the time.
Out of that. It makes me personally feel nostalgia for when the show first started too, for when 2019, and it was like, oh, there's this new thing after I've been stuck with Vince for all these years. I got this new thing. It's so very exciting, and they obviously know that nostalgic feeling is there too because they did a ton of callbacks on this show. They usually do. They'll do book a bunch of originals or do some kind of either a promo or a story thing that is very clearly a callback to something from that first year.
Sure.
So I think that feeling is great, but they just got to start nailing the regular broadcast stuff.
I mean, that's basic television. That's not excusable at this point.
I mean, as a critic, we're criticizing the shows that we watch.
Yeah.
I have to talk about that up top because if I had watched that on TBS on initial broadcast, it would have pissed me off. It would have been irritated, especially when there was stuff going on screen that I was pretty invested in, pretty interested in hearing, particularly because this was kind of a promo heavy show for Dynamite. And they know that going in too, that it's going to be, now that I think about it, that it's a promo heavy show. You would think that would be front of mind, would be okay, that we got to make sure the sound is locked in on our broadcast here.
Yes. Make sure we can see stuff and hear stuff.
Yeah.
That's the or don't be on TV. I don't know.
And they seem to have fixed most of the visual stuff, to me at least, the visual stuff, the on-screen stuff.
Their production stuff lately.
Yeah, which is why I have to knock it when it's not there. Like
it's very egregious.
It was not there for this one. I did the majority of the stuff that happened on the show. I will say I enjoyed, but I could see because of the big swings, there are definitely some like
and just production wise, you had. I'll just get into this first. You had a historic championship win at your pay-per-view.
Open the show.
Earlier, open the fucking show.
I thought the same goddamn thing.
How do you, especially, and you have been like pretty consistent with this. You're coming off of a giant lead-in from Big Bang Theory. Why don't you show the Hangover crowd what happened at the pay-per-view?
And then it's a super easy whose house
done. And then don't make him fucking wrestle a nothing match.
A guy that's 0-5 this year,
holding a title that shouldn't exist. And like it's just he wasn't even the biggest thing. We'll get to the match, but just I couldn't believe how they opened the show.
My biggest complaint about the actual product that they put out there was, why wouldn't you flip-flop those first two segments?
It was brutal, especially since like the Orange Cassidy Trent Beretta thing, which was a 5-minute segment, which they accomplished a lot in 5 minutes, but
it's
you could have been anywhere.
It's a real talky segment. Yeah. It's not you want to start with a pop, and also Swerve deserves that. Like you want to remember when Hangman won the title? It was like a 25-minute celebration to start the show. It should be for every big, especially babyface champ. I mean, it was a big deal for I don't think it's audible. It was a big deal for MJF too, but it was like a heel thing, but it was a big deal. He did the big celebration thing. You should do that for everything on social media between Dynasty and Dynamite was talking about like Swerve doing the iconic, Kobe pose with the belts, like the famous Kobe Bryant with his first championship trophy thing. And like, it was all about, and I talked about it on our show, our Dynasty show, was that like, it felt like a coronation, which was fine by me, especially considering what the rest of that card had been. But then like, it seems like you don't really have your finger on the pulse of what people are talking about then if you don't open the show with that. Like, it's a coronation, and that's cool, so then let's celebrate it when the show starts. Like I honestly liked the first segment of the show. I would have liked it a lot more if I wasn't going, what? Why isn't Swerve out here? Right. Why isn't Swerve celebrating right now?
I can't even remember. And I watched the show last night. Obviously, it was on last night. Who's he wrestling at the next pay-per-view? Who's he wrestling at Double or Nothing?
They're announcing it on next week's Dynamite. I think they're bullshitting us. They twice on this show they teased that it's going to be Kenny Omega. I really don't think there's any way that he's healthy enough to wrestle.
Why should it be Kenny? No. Kenny Omega's got a bunch of shit going on the other side of the card.
Well, and he also has diverticulitis. Yeah. Last I heard, he's talked about it. So I don't think it's speculation. He said he thinks he's going to have surgery, unless they use just working people too. But he usually doesn't do that to that degree. But on the to the point of this show, twice they were like, next week we're going to announce who Swerve's opponent at Double or Nothing is going to be. And both times they bookended it with, and Kenny Omega also is appearing next week at Dynamite. It's in Winnipeg, so I assume it's just because this is his hometown.
Yeah.
And he is healthy enough to come say like, hey, I'm gonna be back eventually or whatever. I hope it's not I retire.
It's gonna be it's gonna be elite stuff, and like they're going to keep healing up because they finally did Healy shit. Didn't make any sense.
They did. They did the thing you've been calling for forever.
Yeah, I wish it made sense, and we'll get into it more. Like, it was nice to see some fire, and like what I did love.
Okada was the highlight of that, by the way.
Yeah, he's no miss.
He doesn't miss.
Like, we were talking before we started recording about all like the incumbents of wrestling, guys that have done it forever, the guys that don't have wrestling podcasts but have been in the business, and Okada's a giant waste of money. I don't know what fucking show they're watching.
No idea.
I said it on our review show. I am the most American wrestling fan of the American wrestling fans, and I know shit about this guy. I know like he had bangers in Japan. Yeah. He's been fucking great since he's been here.
I didn't know he had.
What don't you like about him?
Full disclosure, I love all the NJPW stuff. I've watched all of like his big matches and stuff, but I don't watch week to week stuff in NJPW, so I really had no idea that Okada had this like character part to him.
Right.
And he's just, because what I see is usually the entrance and then bell to bell, and that's it from him. I don't get to see, or I didn't get to see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So like,
he gets all of it.
It's
like,
amazing.
He's one of the most complete workers like that has come over. He doesn't do the Japanese strong style. Like there's elements of it in there, but like he's the most American Japanese.
He's
worker
like
I've
if
ever
John
seen.
Cena could wrestle.
Did you hear why he's so stiff? Apparently he has like some physical like ailment.
Cena?
Yeah.
Really?
That like he's always had something. Hang on, let me find it.
Total Divas made me think he might have a mental
Something with his. I'll look for it. I can't think of something with his spine. Maybe?
I love you.
He had.
Nikki? Is it Nikki?
He was on Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, and John Cena revealed that he has lordosis, which is an excessively curved spine in your neck or lower back. So that would explain entirely why he looks so stiff his entire career. Yeah. Didn't find that out until like a week or two ago. I totally forgot to bring it up but yeah, he's got a thing.
I do. I mean, I joke, but I do respect John Cena quite a bit, even before learning that he was,
that
limited.
That might have sounded like a gotcha moment.
No.
That
I
just
don't
reminded
you're
me.
never doing that.
No, that's. But like, yeah,
it's just food for thought, though, that the dude like
you watch his older matches.
It's great because to me it was crazy that like, man, he improved so much at everything except the ring.
Yeah,
like it was weird that he got great at every part of it except between the ropes.
Right,
a maniac like that, you would think like he would just naturally work so hard that he would get way better in the ring, and he never really did. He got better, obviously, because he was able to have great matches with as long as he had a great opponent, but he never really got that much better. No. Like
his psychology got a little bit, and he was more giving in his later career.
Sure,
but we'll talk about him.
Yeah.
On the other coin. By the way, if you have not listened to the WWE version of the Booth Thunder Pod this week, that is dropping at the same time. So either I hope you enjoyed it, or go listen to it right after this one.
And we're going to be doing our own mock draft on that show as well. So Dave and I will be taking over the roles of GM of SmackDown and Raw, one for each of us, and we're going to draft from the pool of available talent.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be fun.
I'm excited. But Dynamite, Daly's Place, started off with the Elite getting out of an SUV.
Altogether.
Okada and the Bucks get out of an SUV. And my first note was the audio is the audio from the arena, and it sounds like shit because you couldn't really hear what they were going on. And Matt Jackson, he makes a lot of just like under his breath, like
you got to pay a lot of attention.
And if you're not going to mic him correctly, like
it's a problem.
It's a problem. Yeah. He said something at the end of the show. I couldn't hear the first part, but he said the last part was something like, "Oh, and that's a good question," or like, "And that's the question." And I rewound it 50 times to try to see what he said before that, and they didn't mic it correctly. So I hope that's not like a little thing we're supposed to know, because this company, man, Jesus Christ, it's like reading Finnegan's Wake.
It is kind of. I love that stuff, but like sometimes,
So sometimes I want to like.
Not everybody watches Dynamite twice.
I want to watch a Michael Bay movie sometimes to see explosions.
Well, this show particularly too had a couple of those instances. There was some banter that was great when I watched it on Fight, and then watching it on the broadcast or the feed that most people got, America got. I don't know if I would have like caught Willow had a couple of nice little like jabs at Stokely while they were talking, but they weren't like big boisterous in the promo style jabs. They were like conversational. They were very funny, but like it didn't come across nearly as well on the TBS broadcast as the one that I watched. That I was like, oh my god, this is an incredible show this week. And I really do feel like I'd have a different feeling than I came away with while watching the Fight broadcast.
Right.
Had I watched it on the regular American feed,
which is most people, the country. So we can't hear what they're saying getting out of the SUV. The Jacksons and Okada are all in suits, and they're all holding titles, which is always a cool visual.
Yeah, looking fly.
Nick Jackson says he's proud to be the first ever 3-time champion. So the Young Bucks are the first ever 3-time tag team champions for All Elite Wrestling.
They were playing on that during the pay-per-view with the 3.
Because
Jack Perry was doing. Is he doing 3 or Elite? 3 or Elite with the 3 fingers up.
See again, Finnegan's Wake. Another SUV pulls up, and Jack Perry gets out. He's not in a suit. He gets a nice big pop because the arena's mic'd very well.
Yeah.
It's the only thing mic'd. And security tries to stop Jack Perry from coming in, and the Bucks say it's okay for Jack Perry to come in. They have some business to attend to, and that it's going to be a good night.
I hope those 2 security guards get paid well, because they are like everything that happens that security has to be involved in. It's those 2 guys,
and that's good. Like,
and they are.
That's
I've
a
been
great
told at least
story.
they're the real security guys.
Yeah.
But they use them as an on-screen talent.
They're great
as
at their
well.
jobs.
They're incredible.
Yeah.
They're
Like,
monsters.
Yeah.
They sometimes make the wrestlers look a little small because they're like WWE monster-sized dudes, but they're great.
how long until they're fighting for the tag team
Yeah,
championships?
like I mean, if I were a security guard for AEW and getting a lot of on-screen time, I'd be pushing for. I'm thinking they could probably sell a lot better than the owner of the company can.
Can't wait to talk about that. I mean, this is no different than when Steve Wilkos got his own show because he was the recognizable heavy on the Jerry Springer show. You know how I know I'm 40? Making Jerry Springer references.
You could tell I'm older because I didn't even have a second thought about that. I'm like, yeah, Dave, good reference, Steve Wilkos. Everybody will get that.
I went to Springer once when I was younger. I went to a show.
Is it like going to a wrestling show? It always had that like vibe to me.
Everybody was really nicely dressed. They told you like, please look nice. Like we all had sweaters on and shit. And they have a
That's
guy.
Funny. It's a dress code for the Jerry Springer show.
And they had just to the right of the stage, they had a guy that does all of the like crowd. Like you mirror him. Whatever he does, if we're supposed to boo, he'll go boo. Like, and you're literally just monkeying what this guy does because they want a certain reaction. And
so it is like a WWE show.
Yeah. And then the topic was stripper love triangles, tales from the strip club. So we saw 13 boobs that day.
I think my uncle's friend was a guest on that episode. Because my only story from the Jerry Springer show was my uncle's friend, who like I was at a party with one time, was telling me about how he was on an episode of Jerry Springer. And like he went on under the idea that he was just going to talk about like he was a regular at this strip club or whatever. And when he got there, they gave him a whole script about how he was in love with this particular girl. And it was like a girl he knew, but he was not somebody he had ever tried to date or anything. They just had a whole story for him and he went and did it. But he was like, none of it was true. But I wonder, that's pretty funny. If you happen to go to the...
Well, the actors were clearly not SAG card carrying actors at this point. They were
no
rough.
Jey Usos.
No, and that's high praise because that son bitch can actually act. And the acting was good in the opening bit.
Yes, it was.
In, out, good production. Cool, something's gonna happen. I love when wrestling shows have a through story.
And this was definitely one of those episodes.
Yeah,
like
through stories in wrestling shows are like, man, just watch any successful television show. They have their A story, their B story, and sometimes their C story. And those shows are on forever.
Royal Rumble 92, baby.
Yes, that's a great...
It's my benchmark for a lot of these shows these days.
Great analogy. The thing we were bitching about opening the show, which was in the building, was Orange Cassidy's music hits. He doesn't come out quite right away. But then he gets ejected from the back, and Trent Beretta walks out. And we can presume that Trent Beretta has attacked Orange Cassidy, delaying his entrance, throwing him out into the public area.
And this was intriguing to me.
Yeah.
It's just it was weird to open a show.
You didn't have to be here, especially since they had zero physicality at Dynasty.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if they did because I didn't see the pre-show. Did they have physicality?
What, Trent won?
Wait, did he use the crunchy?
I don't remember. Can
you imagine he beat Stone Cold Steve Austin with a crunchy at WrestleMania? With the crunchy.
My hope for the heel Trent character, and like I kind of had the same hope for until this segment for Chucky T. But in retrospect, I don't think it would have worked for him. I hoping Trent actually scales back on some of that super indie tongue-in-cheek, we're all in on it stuff that those guys do. It was the reason that I never really completely was all in on Best Friends is because outside of, well, really just those two, because I liked Stat and Orange Cassidy, but Chucky and Trent were always just a little bit too much like PWG. We're all friends here. We know this is silly. We're winking at the camera. doing silly names for our moves, like the awful waffle. And
Yeah.
like, that kind
I
of
don't
stuff.
hate the awful waffle.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Like for and Chuck, it works, and I think with him just doing it, him being the only one that has that shtick, it'll work.
Right.
It's with a group of people and a couple of them are doing it. I was always like, okay, this is a big show now. We don't need to do the like. Everybody's dancing in the ring indie. Like, that's nonsense now. Like, and that's why I'm already more intrigued with Trent, like heel Trent, than I was at any point during the Best Friends stuff.
So, speaking of all the indie stuff you just mentioned, they got serious with some of it, and I'm like, God damn it, this was good writing.
Yeah,
this was a well-written segment. So, after Trent Beretta's done beating, is he back to Trent Beretta, or is he just Trent with a question mark?
I'm hoping he drops the question mark. I think they're still just calling him Trent.
Trent's fine. Trent Beretta is a dope name. I don't know why.
Yeah, it is. It's good. Not a bad heel name either.
No. And Trent Beretta gets a mic. He tells... They're in the ring now, so he has beaten Orange Cassidy into the ring. Orange Cassidy is down. Trent Beretta says to Chuck Taylor, who is not present via microphone, it's time to make a decision on who he's aligning with. And Chuck Taylor... Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chuck Taylor comes out from ringside. He's just chilling like in the crowd, which cool. Nice touch. And they acknowledge it on
also a callback, I think, to the pandemic era.
Yeah, when
everybody was front row.
Yeah. One thing to talk about after this, just putting a pin in it. I don't want to keep interrupting segments, but I do something applicable.
Oh, I
do. So Chuck Taylor comes into the ring, and Trent Beretta starts off by apologizing for not doing this a long time ago, this being beaten up Orange Cassidy. He said he's sorry that they spent the last 5 years hugging this narcissistic prick. Orange Cassidy was brought in as a mascot, but the Best Friends became his lackeys with nothing in return.
Good line, and it's kind of true.
He is dropping gospel here. Orange Cassidy doesn't care about you. He's not your friend. Trent Beretta says he cares about Chuck Taylor. He is his friend. He loves him. Trent Beretta says... that Chuck Taylor needs to do the right thing and give the people what they want. And then he opens his arms. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
That's good writing. That's just a simple shift of your catchphrase.
Yeah.
Whew.
And it was true, everything he said when they brought in Orange Cassidy, and like the greater wrestling public.
Yeah.
Even though his immediate thing he first did, I think it was that Pac match where it was like a 5-star insane banger. But everybody kind of saw him before he started evolving his gimmick as just like you said, like a mascot, like just a silly indie thing, indie gimmick that there's nothing behind it. It's just there to have fun or whatever.
And then he
just proved to everybody that he was incredible.
Right.
So he definitely did surpass the rest of his
1,000%.
Like,
he has the probably greatest title run of that international title, right?
My favorite title run in the company, any belt, I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he is can't miss television.
Yeah,
he really is.
It's him and Darby, but Darby's not got an exploded face too.
Somebody's got to start like putting. I don't condone dosing, but maybe like just a NyQuil to stir like in his soda pop or something.
Put him in a induced coma. I'm like until it's time to come back. He can't get out of his own way. Picture of the busted face. He was with Tim Robinson though, which was amusing to me. He posted a picture. The reason I know his face is
I didn't
destroyed.
see that. I don't know what you're talking about.
He posted on Twitter, X, or maybe Instagram. I don't know. A picture of himself with a group of people, and his face is just, his nose is destroyed. He's got like 2 black eyes. And he was like, I'm off. My face got busted or something like that. But the group he's with, he's got his arm around Tim Robinson.
From
no.
I think you should leave. Oh, I like that a lot. I like that they're friends.
Yeah,
I like when
too.
my universes collide.
Me too. It was my exact thought. I'm like, oh, I like those both guys.
So Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta have their arms open. They go to hug. And Chuck Taylor stops. He says, Trent, I always thought you were a piece of shit. And then he hits Trent Beretta with a microphone, which will be the only microphone attack of the evening.
That's the payoff. You're a piece of shit. Chuck Taylor, since they started saying shit on Dynamite, he has been complaining on Twitter that I never got to say shit. Why? I want to say shit. How come I haven't been able to say shit? It's like a long running joke with the big like AEW, purists that Chuck Taylor's just give Chucky T a chance to say shit on TV, and of course they did it in Daly's place. So it was
in this angle though, I don't mind if they go super meta with it, like
because it's the most meta.
It's the most indie
friendly
thing ever, and like they're not quiet about that, and like they're the only act that does indie, like super indie. Like if you go to any local wrestling show, this is how guys perform, and this is the only time I'll allow like 19 goddamn finishers because.
It's their gimmick,
basically.
Exactly. Our gimmick is we are the most indie.
The most indie thing. So if they're going to lean on Twitter and stuff, like, cool, more power to them. Because it's not necessary for a general TV audience. Like, I didn't know any of that. Yeah. I enjoyed the shit out of the segment. So, again, that's rewarding people who are, paying a little bit more attention to it. So that was dope. Chuck Taylor says he's not cleared to wrestle, but he wants to fight Trent Beretta in the parking lot, which is, I believe, a callback
It is. Their best match was...
wasn't it the minivan match?
Not Power and Glory. Santana and Ortiz. I forget the name of their...
Proud and Powerful?
Proud and Powerful. Yeah, something like that. I believe it was them. It was the Best Friends versus Proud and Powerful. Parking lot match was like the first 5-star match, AEW 5-star match, I think. Or maybe the first TV match that got 5 stars. From Dave Meltzer on high.
So good. I like this.
Yeah, me too.
I like all of it. It's like we were praising what on the other show in what WWE's doing with the Bloodline. Like they're completely biodoming it. Like they're keeping it away from everything. Viva Los Biodome. Didn't know I was going to get a Biodome reference. And the thing I was going to bitch about kind of a little bit here. And this is going back to how the dirt sheet writers keep getting worked or whatever. This might play, it might not, because I did read that this was the sour grapes of a local affiliate in Florida. Something came out where Tony Khan was trying to get rid of 50 tickets as seat fillers for Dynamite.
Oh.
But then, so they ran with it.
This.
Yeah, someone in, I don't know if it was like CBS or like something really like local, like news affiliate ran with it. And you could tell like it had a little bit of ire.
Yeah.
Turns out that he wanted to give 50 tickets away to servicemen.
Yeah.
Which like, yes, promote that like crazy. Like he wants to give,
And even if you're literally calling it seat fillers, what they're doing there is something that everybody does. Even like WWE, when they have a sellout occasionally, they'll realize they have the place set up in a way that is not as conducive to TV as they thought. So they will like then do like a small number, like 50,
which is fine,
of fillers because like they do at the Academy Awards or whatever, because it looks better on TV.
People got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't even that. It was I'm being a good dude and trying to hook up servicemen.
But that's the problem with like the wrestling discourse these days.
But this is more in like backing up your point of like it's like, oh, all these journalists, air quotes, are just getting, and that was an actual journalist. That's I'm fine saying that like because wrestling journalists are just reporting on movies. I don't know. So that was that. Jon Moxley was backstage next.
Yeah, that promo was fantastic.
It was good. I have to get used to him losing it. Because he starts strong, and then you could tell like he just kind of like ooh squirrel, and like he'll go off and like go into muscle memory mode where he'll just start saying shit that he has said in the past. I'm like, I don't fit here, buddy, but he always like puts a bow on it.
You do that. I mean, I do that when I'm angry too. Yeah. So like it's as long as the promo is believable, I'm a happy man.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It always with him. It's always believable.
Right. So he says he's confident. So he's got a match tonight against Powerhouse Hobbs.
Powerhouse.
God, give him.
I'm sad about Powerhouse.
I want him to have everything.
Me
the
too.
entire Don Callis family. I want them to have so much success.
Yeah, me too.
So
like they're incredible. They're all incredible,
and they're all like fan favorites and shit. But Mox is backstage and he says tonight he's confident he's going to retain his IWPG Heavyweight Championship tonight.
I don't like that they're defending the IWPG. I know that they had a story. They made up for it being not making sense because Callis did have a story as to why that would happen here. But
what was that? I might have missed that.
During the match on commentary, he said, like normally they don't allow the belt to be ever defended outside of the country, but they still owed me because I'm the one that brought them. And he was Jericho Omega, the best match they've ever had in the history of their company, which is not really true, but it was one of the biggest deals for them ever. And he said, I've been holding that shit for like 4 years now, and I cashed it in to get my guy a title shot.
He cashed it in here?
I wouldn't have done that either, but it does. At least it is.
It's some explanation.
It's a story as to why.
Fine.
If they just did it and didn't give me anything, I'd be like, wow, don't do that. But this was an explanation.
That's fair. Also, too, I mean, Moxley said the reason for him doing it. So he's a fiery little lad. So he might have just voluntarily put the title up. We're already familiar with him. Fine. The ending was never in question. So it's not like, this wasn't terribly egregious. He says, don't mistake his confidence for arrogance or ignorance or misunderstanding, or underestimating his opponent. He puts over Hobbs as quite a threat for a second. He says, it just takes one mistake. His entire world comes crashing down. He knows the Don Callis family put a hit out on his friend, so he knows how far they'll go to get a win. I like that they're continuing that. Like they're buddying up, and like it adds a little bit of a threat, despite it being I know what's going to happen, but it's like it's got that a little bit of doubt in it. He says no one knows better than him how to get up to the top and stay at the top. He said tonight's going to suck. But he's like, and this is where he lost me. He's like, I don't play golf. Basically, like, I'm a wrestler, and this is wrestling. This is the king of sports. He's going to remind everyone who he is. And when the air is pulled out of Hobbs, they'll feel it from Jacksonville to Tokyo.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that line.
Yeah. It was the golf part. Like, this was it
made me giggle.
If you were like listening to this while doing something else, and you're like, wait, did he just he golfing now?
Yeah, I kind of did that myself, and I was very much watching the show. I was like, golf?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Mox. And then I understood what he was getting at.
Yeah.
But it was fun. That phrase was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And we get it, dude. You love wrestling. Like, you're the fucking world champion of a promotion. It's fine. And he's got the confidence of a guy like that has had way too many bar fights.
Yeah.
And like he has to keep reminding us like he's the king of this bar.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Which, if you put it in that context, cool.
That's what he is. That's like
you're supposed to lose it every
I do
once
like
in a
that he
while.
always he's one of the few dudes that is able to do both. I'm a killer. You should be afraid of me, but also is able to put over his opponent in the promo, same promo that he's cutting, and it doesn't feel like it's forced or whatever. Like he made me feel like Powerhouse is legit, but also I'm gonna kill Powerhouse. And it's hard to do both of those things in one promo for most people, and he's able to do it pretty consistently. I dig that about Mox.
I wish he gave a little bit more to Mr. Hobbs. That's all.
Yeah, I got a theory about that, but we'll talk about it in the meat of the match.
Yeah, in what should have started the entire show. Up next, we had Swerve's, I guess, celebration.
It was just to me. It was just a match. It was just a eliminator.
This was but before that they started it right too. Like Nana gets out there.
Yeah,
he made me laugh.
He celebrated.
He said, "Get up on your feet and show respect for your new AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland." He didn't finish talking, and like the beat dropped in Swerve's song, and he started dancing right away.
Yeah,
I just love how committed he is to the
dance. Yeah, I mean it's the most over thing he's ever had in his career, and he's been in wrestling a longest time.
Right.
So. Of course, he's gonna milk that thing as hard as he can, but it works for sure.
But it was just the timing of it. Like he missed the post. Like he didn't. It's like when you're listening to FM radio and they talk until the vocal starts. Like he missed it, right?
Yes, yeah.
Which was funny, but like
that was funny.
I don't know. Committing to the bit was great. Did you know this was a match happening prior? Did they announce this? Because I found out.
I don't think so. I mean, full disclosure, I didn't look at any previews or anything this week because we were working on the Dynasty review we did. And you normally leading into a Dynamite, I'll check to see what the upcoming card is going to be. So I don't know if it was advertised or not. Yeah. This was it was an angle and promo heavy episode. They only had 4 matches, I think, in total, and one was like a bigger multi-man, but it was, I think, only 4 matches total. So I would think they would have advertised all of them, but I know that they didn't advertise who was in the what do you call it? The elimination match.
The Eliminator match.
Eliminator. No, I'm talking about later on the card.
Oh, yes.
The elimination match. They didn't advertise who was going to be in that.
No, I'm good.
But it was supposed to be a surprise.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
yeah. Like I have nothing but love for that when it comes. Like almost. It's gonna get my lowest rated ever 7 thumbs up when we get to it eventually, out of 5 thumbs. So in this case, I've all but given up on Tony's promotional skills. Or them to
we don't have to worry about it now. It's the Elite doing the promotions.
But historically he's never been great at like announcing shit. Even like his biggest stuff, Like when Punk and Mercedes came in, like
Yeah. I thought Punk was the best handled thing he's ever done as far as promotion goes. That was like
because he didn't have to do anything.
He did. They did the telling you without telling you thing.
Yeah.
They've never done anything that well before or since.
No.
I don't think
and they
as far
tried
as
it
like
with
promotion
Mercedes,
goes.
and like it worked because they filled stadiums. That's my barometer for that.
They usually are good at the match. The graphic drop for the matches, though. Like that's the thing. That's the one thing that he usually gets pretty consistent about. I just don't know if they did it for this or not.
Yeah. But this was, my hands are on my face because I'm so frustrated. We already covered why I'm frustrated at the top of the show, but like, dude, why are you making this guy wrestle?
Yeah, I wouldn't have put him in a match at all.
No, and like
I would open the show with him, let him cut a promo.
Yes. That's it, and let him leave. And
you can have anybody else wrestle
anybody.
Kyle Fletcher.
Have a number one contenders match if you want.
I also wouldn't have had. I mean, and like this was a good match. It wasn't a great match, but
I
it
thought
was
their chemistry
good.
was a little.
It was a little off. It was.
Yeah.
I definitely had some bugaboos
about this
They
match?
let Kyle Fletcher kick out a swerve stomp. Like I don't care about finishers that much, but it's your new champ and it's his first match, and it's a guy that's 0-5 in 2024 in singles. Also, I wouldn't book Swerve against a dude that Will Ospreay just had a match with, because already people are doing the comparison of your champion babyface against the most over best wrestler babyface in your company. Don't give me like a thing that I can compare directly, and then I could be like, oh, well, the Ospreay Kyle Fletcher match was like awesome,
right?
And this one was just okay.
How about this?
But, hey, you got a million guys you could put in eliminators against Swerve if you want. You have to have him wrestle.
Yeah.
Pick somebody besides the dude that Ospreay just had like a banger with.
Pick somebody in his own family. Put Will Hobbs in this match.
Yeah, they go. Yeah,
if you're celebrating like this is our first black champion, you make the first guy he fights another legit
defend
black
against
threat.
Your other probably best, at least of the men on the men's side, and then best black performer.
He's
like
fighting from underneath. And like he gets to be an actual babyface against an established heel.
Yeah,
this was
and Kyle Fletcher was working like he was, because he partway through the match, Callis called for. I like this a little bit, but Callis stands up and says, Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was calling a play.
So here, we'll go through the match real fast because that is no. That's a big part of that. By the way, Kyle Fletcher, Ring of Honor World Television Champion. My next note there was who gives a shit.
Not me. His gear was nice though.
Yeah,
I'm a sucker for white gear.
Well, he was factioned up with Ospreay for a while, so like they clearly have the same tailor. Like I said, not the greatest chemistry overall, but it was fine. It was passable.
Yeah.
They go to this another production thing here. I don't know if you saw this, but when they went to commercial during this match, and they usually do the picture-in-picture thing. Did you have the match in picture-in-picture? Because I had a giant blank screen that just said live with an exclamation point.
So I watched it on Fight.
Yeah.
So no picture-in-picture because there's no commercial.
Because there's no commercials.
So I like it played right through, but I did hear after the fact that there were a couple weird picture-in-picture things on this episode.
Yeah.
That 2 different times, and one time I did notice it because they said it, and it was still jarring to hear him say it. They didn't. It wasn't like normally. I joke about it all the time, but they do it for a reason. Normally, you can tell whenever the picture-in-picture is about to happen because it's always at a certain, like one of 3 different things happen in the match. Like somebody gets thrown to the outside normally, and then there's a dive. And then if both guys are down, it's always stay with us in picture-in-picture, like every time.
Yes.
2 different times on this episode, they either Excalibur was just like, and then just picture, and like barely got it out, and they cut to it. And then one other time he like sent it to picture-in-picture, but then there was a pin attempt in one of the matches, and he was like, "Hold on, don't go yet." So they had to like wait after he said like we're going to picture-in-picture. They waited another 5 seconds or whatever, and then in the main event also they just had a point where they just cut to picture-in-picture without saying anything. It was just during the match they just cut to. So I don't know. Maybe somebody was out sick for this episode or something.
I think
there's a lot of that. There was a lot of maybe it's all a callback to 2019 when they didn't when they would put up the wrong names for guys and stuff constantly. Like I guess there was a lot of that stuff on this episode.
Make it a true homecoming. Make it as abysmal. I mean, that's inexcusable. Like because also too from an advertiser's perspective, if you're not going to show. Like, give me the full screen. If you're not gonna like,
I'm sure there's different rates for different. Like,
I don't know. I'd be pissed if I was Charmin. I assume Charmin advertises. There's a lot of mud butt fans watching this show. Not a clean looking crowd. But
all right, Dave.
You have called them troglodytes on this show.
They're my people. I can say the word, Dave. You can't say.
I didn't say it to you. I'm in your home. It's a clean home. So goes to commercial, comes back. When it comes back, there's a backstage camera that shows the Elite and Jack Perry going into Tony Khan's office, and then it's right back to the match, which is fine.
I liked the little thing they did here. Matthew Jackson. They go up to the door with it's got the Tony Khan placard on it, which thank you. I like when they actually do that.
Yes.
Matthew went to knock on the door, then he looked at the camera, raised his eyebrow, and just let himself in without knocking. Like, yeah, we run this goddamn place kind of thing.
There you go.
Jack Perry, by the way, in both the opener and this segment, is setting the all-time land speed record for number of shit-eating smirks you can do at the camera. And obviously, he got word that people liked that because he just spammed it. It worked here too, but it was pretty funny. He was like smirk, 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 smirk.
Absolutely.
Every chance he got, looking at the camera, winking,
no one does it. Might as well.
Yeah.
You know? You had mentioned the swerve stomp. I hate how stupid the opponent has to look. And I know I say this all the time. They have to look like they're coming out of a coma.
But no, that's the thing. They don't have to. It's on them.
They do.
To make,
every one of them does.
Hangman doesn't. Hangman never does. Hangman looks great. Every time he does it, every time Kenny Omega has taken a stomp or similar
he knows where
adjacent,
he's at.
or Hangman,
they
find some kind of a clever way to get themselves in that spot without looking like taking us out of it by scooting their butt over.
They need to make a PowerPoint then because
Hangman should do a presentation.
It looks a little tough
because you go back and watch it's 3 matches that they've had, and every time Hangman, it's like he finds a natural way to get into that position.
His ring awareness is pretty
incredible.
Good.
He's absolutely incredible.
I have come around on this motherfucker. The mustache helped.
Yeah, it did.
But Swerve does a swerve stomp. And he looks like he might hurt his foot.
I bought on this, by the way. I was like, oh no! After your first match, why'd you put him out here this fast? Like,
sensitivity on the right foot when he lands. But then he goes for a house call. House call gets turned into an ankle lock on the injured foot, which I'm like, all right, storytelling.
Well, that also was then me going, oh, thank God, it's a work.
Once he started running to do the house call, I'm like, he's fine.
But him getting put in the move, I was like, okay, that's the story.
Absolutely.
I don't have to worry about Swerve being out for 6 months.
So Callis and Taz are like, as you alluded to earlier, when Callis he's about to call third base coach plays here, but Callis and Taz on commentary are urging Kyle Fletcher because Kyle Fletcher lets go of the ankle lock and he starts doing the Bryan Danielson kicks where you're kneeling down and kicks him in the chest, and Taz and Callis are like, no, just stay on the ankle. Why didn't you just? Both of them are like, why don't you just stay on the ankle? Which is good if Kyle Fletcher is going to be like your, I think they're called young boys, or your like amateur guy, like let
young
him look,
lion is the best, but I've heard young boy as well.
Let him look a little green or naive. I know he's not green or naive, which is like it's a little bit unbelievable because
he's been wrestling since he was 16.
Yeah, he also has even before when they were doing Forbidden Door shit, when they were doing trios matches. I'm like, this guy is like the future of the company.
He is super young though, which is why that's where it makes sense to put that over. He called him the puppy with big paws.
Yeah.
He is super young and he looks super young.
Yeah.
Like he is a veteran. We know that, but like you could still put that over. He's still young.
Only
young.
In storytelling am I would have never even been like, oh yeah, he's a little green, because everything we've seen up until this point has been pretty spectacular.
Well, to what I was talking about earlier, we just saw him go tit for tat with Will Ospreay for like 25 minutes, 3 weeks ago or something.
His big paws my ass.
So
that guy fucking cooked. Don Callis, and as you were alluding to earlier, Don Callis is standing up and he's calling plays from commentary. The commentary desk is not ringside; it is like away. It's like kind of decently away.
If we didn't mention, the entire setup for this show it's all brand new because it's the first time they've been in Daly's place since they changed their set, and they changed everything here. I love the way it looked, and I like having the commentary guys. That's kind of a callback too, because it used to be
it was on the ramp,
far
right?
back. Yeah,
or like
adjacent to the ramp or next to the ramp. Yeah.
So Don Callis is standing up and he yells Melbourne, which apparently means get a table. And then Kyle Fletcher goes to get the table, and then like he decides maybe I don't want to use the table.
Second thought, I'm going to try to do this the old-fashioned way kind of thing.
Don Callis goes, when an athlete tries to think for themselves, nothing good comes from it. Kyle Fletcher does not go for it. Oh, so he tries to go for a superplex, doesn't work. He gets swerve stomped. And 1, 2, no.
Yeah, that was where I was like, what? Why are we? He's the champ.
He just won the world title.
He's a babyface. Like,
it seemed like an accident. And then house call for the W.
Yeah.
So
you think that I think that was booked that way, and I just think it was a mistake. Like, I think they you think Fletcher wasn't supposed to kick out there, and he did?
Maybe.
It's possible.
Maybe.
Like, I'm just trying to think of the match.
I don't like that he kicked out of it.
Like, period. I want to think that's what happened because otherwise I'm like, that's dumb. That's just dumb.
He just if he didn't just win the world title in a company that never changes world titles.
And we're both saying we don't even want to have a match. Just celebrate your win because it's a big deal.
Yes.
Don't have him wrestle a mid-card style match that then ends in a way that it would if he was a mid-carder.
Yeah. It's poor guy. Like, just poor guy.
But also, because of what they did, like, story-wise, I'm fine with it on the Callis family side of things. Like, Kyle Fletcher's rebelling against Don Callis. Yeah. But in doing that, you're also then working kind of babyface.
Right.
So you're putting your babyface champ and a guy who's going to work a match kind of babyface.
Yeah.
Put him against anybody that's a full heel. Like,
I mean, if you had to, I still say, and we were mentioned earlier, I think Hobbs would have been, if you have to do the Don Callis family, because this whole angle was to build up the Don Callis family.
Yeah.
Not to build up your world champ. So you could have put anybody except the goddamn world champ in the match, and it would have been equally or more effective.
Yes.
Having him kick out of Brian Cage's finisher, for example, would have been okay, fine. Like,
and there's other places they could have cut on the show if they wanted to even add a whole match. If they want to give Swerve somebody just as like a reminder or whatever, for people that didn't get to watch the pay-per-view or something.
Yeah.
Fine, give him a little 6-minute guy to start the show or whatever. There was time to do that on this show. They could have cut a couple of places.
Yeah. I just don't like that he's already a little cool. Like, off his world.
I'm with you. We're going over the reasons why.
Yeah.
Like,
I just don't like it, man.
Celebrate the title, make it feel like a big deal. And this was really a mid-card style match. Like, I enjoy those usually. But
he should have squashed his ass if he had to wrestle.
Yeah, don't put him in there against the guy we just saw against Will Ospreay because nobody can do that. Nobody can match, especially not the dude that everybody is already making the comparison because everybody's like, oh, you got to put the title on Ospreay, which I think would be a big mistake. Yeah, right. Like this year, we'll hold off on that give it a year, give him the Cody treatment, give it a whole year.
Yeah.
But people are already making that like comparison. Online, and it's almost impossible not to do even internally when you're watching because you're like, okay, he's supposed to be their top babyface because he's the babyface champ, but this other guy is very clearly the most over guy.
Yeah.
Don't do other stuff that forces me to then do more comparisons between those two.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do that, the only logical thing here is Swerve has to become because these two are eventually gonna cross. Yeah, Ospreay and Swerve, and Swerve's got to be like the jealous heel. He's got to be a little Bret Hardy here. I'm the champ.
He's just a really good heel too. Like, I prefer him as a heel.
Yes,
he's one of those like babyface because the crowd demands it kind of things right now. But I would let him then still just work heel, and if people want to stop cheering him, like, because he's too good at being a heel, fine. Yeah. I just don't. It doesn't read as great to me when he's doing like the getting the crowd fired up thing because it's not the character that he's like awesome at.
Nope.
So that serves to cool him a little bit too.
Yeah.
And again, my tweener thing. I hate tweeners.
Yeah. This company's gotten better at them though. They were very anti face and heel for the majority of their run, which it might be a callback again since their day was placed. We're just getting rid of alliances. Kenny Omega's coming back next week.
Yeah.
You had mentioned it. It's coming back on Dynamite.
My first thought when it popped up, I'm like, oh no, is he coming back to retire? Because they're going to Winnipeg. And the dude's... So on his Twitch stream and stuff, he's been talking about how he thinks he's going to have to get the surgery for the Brock Lesnar surgery to remove a bunch of his intestine.
Small intestine, right?
Yeah, he's got the same. He's got the diverticulitis issue. So I assumed it'd still be another year or something out from right now if he was going to return. So when I saw his face pop up, my first initial thought was, oh no, is this to say I can't do this anymore? Yeah. But then thinking about the stuff he's been talking about on his stream and everything and the general mood he's been in, I think he is coming back. So
This is just to heal up the Elite more.
yeah,
'Cause
probably.
They fired him
I'm
from the
good
Elite.
with that. Like,
yeah.
you
So am I.
Pay it off now. Don't wait until he comes back in
Yeah.
7 months or whatever, and then we all forgot what happened.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I think it's a good move
Because no one
They're
wants
going
to
Winnipeg
boo him.
anyway.
They're going to be stoked. It's in his hometown. They're going to do some wild shit to him to get even more over. Like, I get that's how you get over as a heel.
Yeah.
You attack the hometown guy who's we've missed for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm good with all
They
that.
did stack that right up against the announcement that Swerve's first world heavyweight title opponent, his first challenger, is going to be announced on Dynamite as well next week. And there was 2 times on the show that they did that with Omega, like the Omega thing right there.
Right.
I mean, I mentioned that already, but I don't think there's any chance that is the thing that they're going to announce.
I'm still holding out hope it's Christian Cage.
Yeah, it was my first thought was who's
Yeah.
the most heely heel they have, and it's Christian.
Yeah.
So like,
And he doesn't have bad matches.
Yeah.
And I believe Swerve's father is no longer with us. So
I think I looked it up and there's no information. He's talked about his mom a lot on interviews and stuff. The only thing that we know is some stuff I already knew about his dad was that his dad was a military guy. So Swerve grew up at a bunch of different like military bases overseas and then in America, but he never has talked about his dad like personally. He's talked about his mom a few times. But anytime I ever think of like who's going to face Christian, my first Google is so and so's dad alive? Or
hang on, what is this on? I just googled is Swerve's dad alive? And the first thing that came up, it says, yes, as of April 22nd, 2024, Swerve's dad is alive and well.
okay,
So clearly this
everybody is.
I'm going to look at the Google search trends to see how Swerve's dad has been doing since Sunday.
That gives you an idea that it's not just us that think Christian would be a pretty solid first opponent for him.
But, I mean, yeah, that's funny. The next segment backstage was Renee with Thunder Rosa. Renee asks what went wrong at Dynasty, and Thunder Rosa said she can't complain. She can only evolve. That Deonna Purrazzo got involved. And she said, Antonio Tormenta kicked me in the ovarios.
Ovarios. That popped me.
That was funny. And then Deonna Purrazzo walks in. They start arguing, then shoving, and a security guard who looked like a Dr. Seuss character broke them up.
Yeah.
Go back and watch.
Oh,
what
it's
this
ridiculous.
Fucker, he was the silliest looking guy.
He's got like a kid in play, like flat top, like a 10-inch tall flat top, and like it's like half blonde, and then a half blonde like Hulk Hogan mustache.
I don't know. He
It's
looked like
pretty
a
wild.
Wooly Wally that
Yeah,
he
yeah.
just put a bunch of or Mr. Potato Head or something. Just the most random shit on this
It's
guy's
funny
head.
because he's supposed to just be a random security guard,
Yeah.
and it's like you have the most pro wrestling head in history. You're clearly an independent talent, local independent Jacksonville talent.
Oh man, it made me laugh.
Did you, by the way, not
yeah.
to derail us further, but did you see the what's his name, Waller, the Bloody Waller, Grayson Waller,
Bloody Waller.
Jacksonville with Dax back and forth.
not on
That was
Twitter,
I made a reference to it. I said, oh, there was some funny back and forth on Twitter, but I didn't actually talk about what it was. Grayson Waller, they announced that they were bringing Raw or whatever, SmackDown maybe, to Jacksonville. And so Grayson Waller goes on Twitter. He's very good at the Twitter like digs, and was like, "Oh man, finally we're going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville has not had any good wrestling in so long. Like, thank God they're gonna get to watch some good wrestling for the first time in many, many years." Yada yada, doing his like heel thing. And then Dax just responded, "They want good wrestling. Best not have you on the card then." I was like, all right, Dax, I'll give you that one. That was a pretty good one.
Dax needs to, for a guy like he's very public that he's like an anxious guy.
Yeah.
Get the fuck off of Twitter.
He has in the last like 6 months.
Good.
It's usually just stuff like that, which
Gotcha,
I
okay.
like that. I like that kind of stuff. I don't need his whole
No.
ass opinion on everything.
I think,
it's a little Undertaker-y.
Oh, ugh. I hate that he somehow comes up every fucking show we do. The Undertaker.
He's got the number one wrestling not to break our own kayfabe. He's got the number one wrestling podcast on earth right now, I think. So
Well-
it's gonna come up.
I mean, who else has a wrestling podcast that's a wrestler that hasn't had one for forever?
They're all shut down now. It's just the
Oh,
Undertaker.
that's just Undertaker and us.
The usual the usual suspects are, and he's beating all of them. Like,
Like I know Austin had one, but like that got
Busted Open. There's
Busted Open.
Conan and
Disco.
Disco. He's like killing them.
Maybe because like he's new or like he's more recognizable. I'm not sure my nephew's gonna know who Disco Inferno is.
It's just because he's the Undertaker. It's because he's the biggest name ever to have a podcast.
Just man, big fish, small pond. Yeah. Like the best definition of that. They recapped the Danielson Ospreay match from Dynasty. Quickly next, before they get to a match I had no business enjoying as much as I did. It was Mina Shirakawa.
Love her. I don't know anything about her,
no.
But I was immediately like, oh, she's doing a cool dance.
Yeah,
I like
she
this.
She just had charisma coming out of her ears.
I like that. Man, the team up too. I didn't know that they were together in
Shimmer.
Yeah. Oh no.
Nope. What did I say? I wrote
Shimmer.
Stardom.
Yeah, I guess they were a tag team.
They being her and Mariah May.
Mariah May.
Yeah. So Mina Shirakawa comes out with Mariah May versus Anna Jay. Felt bad for Anna Jay because her clothes shrunk in the dryer.
Anna Jay.
God bless her.
I love Anna Jay. Like,
I do too.
She makes me feel nostalgia. She's very much a Florida girl, even though she's a Georgia, almost Florida girl. But she makes me think, you're from Florida. Whenever I see her, not in a bad way. Just like you seem very Florida-y. Yeah. But she has improved so much with so little ring time.
So little ring gear too.
Yeah,
like no bullshit. It keeps getting smaller.
That's her thing.
God
kind
bless.
of. She talks about it too.
Remember when she was
she posts stuff all over Twitter.
Remember when she was a magician?
Yeah.
These two fought for 8 minutes and 58 seconds. This was Mina Shirakawa's AEW in-ring debut. We last saw her 2 weeks ago when she kissed Mariah May after her match. And then as Sully just mentioned, these two were tag team partners in Stardom. So they have a little bit of history. They got all of the, not all the history because we had more because I didn't keep reading. Anna Jay has 8 consecutive victories at Daly's Place.
Yeah. She's one of those nostalgia people. She was the day one person, and she's like a homegrown.
Yeah.
So they love bringing her back for Daly's Place
Absolutely.
shows.
But cool.
Yeah.
There were stakes in this. It was a really fun match.
It was a great match.
Really fun match.
I thought this was the best Dynamite they've ever done for the women's division. Mm-hmm. It was by far and away my favorite thing about the show was just the emphasis that the women's division got. Yeah. There's only one match, but there was like 4 segments or something.
Yeah, they set up quite a bit.
It was like stories that are not necessarily for the world title too, all of it. I like the dynamic of Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa and how that is going to play into Tony Storm stuff and how that you can do the match stuff. So
I have the finish and what happened after because all I wrote for the match was
just a really good match. It was it was kind of a sprint. Both got stuff in.
It was 8 minutes 58 seconds, but they got a lot in.
In
8 minutes 58 seconds. It's one gripe I don't love when they scream the entire match. It doesn't feel very top guy or top gal to me.
Yeah, it works for certain characters. It works for Sky Blue when she does it.
She stopped doing it when she turned heel, though.
I've seen her do it as a heel.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah. I think it works better as a heel for her, because it's kind of a heel thing.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I don't.
Not my favorite.
You don't hear dudes going nonstop during the match. So I would probably lay off that a little bit. But
the only down I had.
I'm trying to think if that's a Japanese, like a Stardom specific thing. They are pretty vocal in their matches in Stardom.
Yeah.
But they're brutal matches. So
aren't the crowds pin drop quiet? So maybe unless they make noise, no one's making
Japanese
noise?
crowds are more generally subdued. They'll pop hard for stuff, but it's not, there's not the din of sound always that there's in American crowds. Right. It's like silence and then a pop and then silence and then a pop.
Right.
So yeah.
So maybe have to, maybe they're just afraid of silence. They
fill the sound.
Fill the space. The finish of the match, Anna Jay had the Queen Slayer locked in to Mina Shirakawa, and she starts trash talk before she, because the Queen Slayer is a sleeper hold, and then she falls down. Great, kind of wraps her legs around.
Yeah, you got it right.
Prior to her falling down and wrapping her legs around, she has the Queen Slayer on, starts trash talking Mariah May, and this little hesitation lets Shirakawa get out of the hold. And she does a really dope pinning combo called the Glamorous Collection.
Yeah.
I thought that looked really cool.
It looked like kind of like Darby's, where you're not getting out of this.
Right.
Or Orange Cassidy's.
Absolutely. After the match, Mariah May comes in with champagne to celebrate. Anna Jay attacks both of them from behind. Toni Storm comes out pretty much like in her underwear.
Yeah.
To make the save.
Carrying her shoes. Like she hasn't had a chance to put her shoes on yet.
She drops her shoes and she drops the title on the ramp. And then I leapt out of my chair because Serena Deeb comes out. And she is my favorite female wrestler on this entire show.
Yeah.
She doesn't come to the ring. She throws Toni Storm's shoes, flips the title belt over so she could see the front of it, sits next to it, and then talks into the camera, which you had to lean in real hard to hear because, as we mentioned, the audio issues. Serena Deeb says she's making a promise. The next time she touches that championship belt, she will be AEW Women's Champion.
Yeah.
I want this to happen.
I'm here for it.
I want this to happen so bad.
Here for the match, for sure. After Toni Storm finally made the change that I and several others have been calling for and ditching the gimmick stuff while she's between the ropes. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited for that version of Toni Storm, Serena Deeb match.
They're going to kill each other.
Yeah.
It's going to be
fantastic.
Fucking awesome.
I like that they have kind of a love triangle thing happening. Mm-hmm. At first, when Mina Shirakawa ran in at the end of Mariah May's match, I think it was, last week on Dynamite, and like kissed her and then did the champagne and stuff. I didn't understand really what the vibe they were going for was, but I got it way more here. It was like, she's my girl, let's party kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And that came across more on this show. And I think it's going to be interesting to watch, like, is she going to gravitate towards Mina now as the person she idolizes or whatever, or wants to be around? And is that going to be the thing that puts the rift? Because she's been side-eyeing Tony's title for like a few weeks now, like subtly, but doing it. And so it feels like that is probably building. So I'm interested in seeing like how that plays into the Deeb situation. Like, a lot of good stuff happening here.
I don't think Serena, like, if they wrestle, Serena Deeb's not. She shouldn't win. Like, they should just have like an awesome match.
Yeah,
I think Mariah May has got to be the one to take the title off of her, right?
I think so.
Either that or like a returning Britt Baker or something.
Oh, yeah, or Jamie Hayter. I mean, those are the ones that I was like front of mind. If they do it in a smart way, and something I'm not thinking of. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to put the title on Serena Deeb and make it like work and storyline and make me go, oh shit, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
So like, I wouldn't hate it as long as they do something interesting with it. I wouldn't hate it if Deeb won the title.
Right. You and me both, buddy.
Like, you could always do the Mariah May Toni Storm thing as a feud without the belt, which you don't like. I like that when they do it with women because they don't do that very often with women.
No, like
it's always
feuds.
over a title. Like. Yeah. You can have side stories too with that division, which is how you get more matches on the shows and stuff. Like, so if it was like costing her, intentionally or otherwise, costing Toni Storm the title and Serena Deeb, you won it. As long as this story continues, I'm good with it.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be like one of the people that we just mentioned. It's just those are the ones that pop into your head when you're thinking who's going to be the person that beats Toni Storm.
Right. I hope they do because they also are not the greatest at pulling the trigger on turns or doing things when they should.
Yeah, they take too long to
or never
do a lot of stuff.
Like Daniel Garcia, like she had like 2 or 3 of those that they never fucking pulled the trigger on.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean?
Well, sometimes you're taking so long that something runs out of steam, and then there's no point in doing it. So
like when he was doing that, I'm a pro wrestler, or I'm not a sports entertainer. I'm a pro wrestler.
That was the weirdest one to me.
That should have been a natural feud.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they just never did it.
It seemed like they changed their mind on it like 3 different directions over the course of one. I never understood that one.
Never got it. So let's hope they learn from that mistake.
And they've been better. Again, this year it's been really good paying stuff off and doing it when you're pulling the trigger when you're supposed to on stuff.
Speaking of paying stuff off, this Willow Nightingale celebration had some good shit in it.
Loved it.
It is some good
so
shit.
Much. Willow might be my favorite wrestler. Will Ospreay may have to take his steps to the side because I love Willow so much.
So your favorite wrestler is Willow Nightingale. Mine is Angelo Dawkins. Who'd have thunk? Stokely and Statlander are in the ring. Stokely says, in 1977, Bill Withers created one of the greatest songs of all time, Lovely Day. That's exactly how I feel. One of my best friends became TBS champion at Dynasty. Jacksonville, Florida, are you ready to party? And then he says, we have Caprice Coleman at commentary. Chrissy Stat right here. It just hit my ears weird. And then they introduce... Oh, no. Statlander then recites a poem.
Well, first Caprice Coleman.
Oh, hang on. He didn't start rapping yet.
Oh, okay.
We'll get there because that was another huge...
Oh, he was on the intro. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That was a huge gripe I had. But yeah, Chris Statlander has a poem I don't need to read the poem, but like she read her a poem.
It was not great intentionally because then Stokely, what was it? I'm sure you got it written down.
Stat, with all due respect, that was 2 packs of ass.
2 packs of ass. I knew it was a good line. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So she is the babe with the power, and we were all here to give her flowers. Like very like 3rd grade shit.
Yeah.
And then Willow comes out. While Willow is coming out, Caprice Coleman, who apparently is a rapper.
I'm not familiar with his work.
No.
So
but he's rapping on commentary, not in the house. So the one time the audio is not in the house is when it would probably be really beneficial to be in the house. It's just for the benefit of the television audience that we hear this guy that I don't know who he is rapping over an entrance song, and he's clearly reading lyrics.
Yeah, and the weird thing about this is, their announcer on Ring of Honor does this with Willow. It's a thing he does, and he's incredible at it.
Oh.
He, what's his name? It's escaping me. I love him. I want him to be the collision guy.
Yeah.
Riccaboni. Ian Riccaboni.
Ian Riccaboni.
He does a rap for Willow when she comes out, and he's like incredible. Like it is amazing. And it's like crisp, and it's crazy to hear this announcer guy and his announcer voice start hitting these bars like super hard, and he's great at it.
Yeah.
This dude was like reading off of a sheet, and it sounded like
you
it too.
You could see his eyes moving, like reading.
Which have Ian Riccaboni come do that? Like he's great at it.
They don't own that company. Oh, wait a minute. They do own that company.
He's done it on AEW TV. I wouldn't have known about it otherwise, but he's done it on Collision a couple times. It's great every time he does it. Yeah. I'm like, why do they have a different dude doing it?
I don't know.
It's not his thing.
Now I hate this even more. If they had a better option.
We should. I love this whole segment. That's my only thing that my only knock on it was this thing. But so I don't want to harp too much. But I agree. Like if you're gonna do it with the guy that has been doing it with her as she's come up.
And be consistent with how bad your audio is tonight. Put this in the house so the crowd can hear it.
Yeah.
It was just the inverted. Like, why was this the best sounding thing of the show when no one can fucking hear it? I don't know. I think I've made my point. Willow Nightingale and Stokely Hathaway said they didn't like each other when they first started.
I love the way they do it back and forth, too. Stokes like, when we first met, I didn't like you. And before he even finishes his sentence, Willow's like, no, I didn't like you either. I didn't like you either.
Stokely says, you were like a fungus the doctor just couldn't cut off. You earned that championship, and we are both proud of you. And then... Willow basically says, tonight I stand here as the face of TBS. And then Mercedes Moné comes out.
Yeah.
And the CEO chants, she's a heel.
Yeah, she's getting booed, and she's not getting the chants are just on the song now.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Now it's like
everybody loves a song.
It works. Like, well, it works that it's a douchey thing to do to have the chant in your song.
Yeah.
And now people are booing it, which is what they were going for.
I don't know. They were not going for that. They're pivoting on this.
I don't think so. I think, go back and watch the first one now. With this in your mind.
She was a face.
And it's like, this is clearly it's a heel move.
I know.
She was doing the interruption stuff off the bat. This has been the plan the whole time.
I know it's a heel move, but the way that she's been presented, where we're supposed to like her, I've been saying that since she debuted.
Like we're supposed to like her. I think that she's being presented, I think, kind of cleverly in a way that in the past, particularly in other companies, but here too, this is how sometimes you get presented somebody that we want you to like, even if you don't necessarily like them.
Right.
And then they force it and force it and force it.
Right.
And like, that's something that we as wrestling fans have a distaste for because we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
That was what they were going for right from the start.
I don't think so.
I didn't think so then, but I went back after you convinced me that she is a heel, and then the pay-per-view convinced me that she for sure is a heel. I'm like, oh, okay, let me look at this from the beginning. And it's been absolutely what they were doing the entire time.
Why am I arguing with you when I agree with you?
With semantics. You're arguing whether it was a pivot. We're arguing whether it was a pivot or whether it was the plan.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that now, like looking back at when I went back and watched this stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, close clearly that's what they were doing the whole
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
She's supposed to be a heel.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
I agree.
It irritates me that like there's
I know.
parts of each one of those shows that she was on that it just made me go, but that was what they were trying to elicit from us was the.
I mean, not smart. That's risky because
It's super risky.
That's X-Pac heat.
I think but it came out proper. Like it came out in the wash. I think in this segment it kind of paid off. We're seeing it's clearly the crowd's delineated 90% Willow, 10% Mercedes.
Well, I mean, Willow calls it out next. She says, Mercedes, this has to be the 4th time you've interrupted me. If you have something to say, now's the time to say it.
Which is perfect.
Yeah. Again, this company's very good. Actually, both companies are getting really good at just saying what the fans are thinking.
They are.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, oh, yeah, I actually was thinking that. What do you have to say about that now? Mercedes says, I came out to congratulate you. I want you to enjoy the celebration because in 32 days at Double or Nothing, you're looking at the new face and the new TBS champion. But I really came out here to ask you if you were that bitch that attacked me 2 weeks ago in the dark, which felt like that was like a comedy line. I'm happy for you, but were you that bitch that hit me in the back?
It was
weirdly
a little bit of a jarring mood change.
It's like,
but
you shifted gears in a
this is the
manual
first
transmission.
promo-ish. It's because it wasn't a direct promo, because it was a back and forth kind of promo. It's the best one she's done since she's been in the company.
I mean, yes, because it wasn't nauseatingly bad.
Again, I think she's
so.
not a great promo regardless, but like the promos that they had her doing, because I was calling them like, why are they having her do 2018 WWE promos?
Yeah.
Like none of this like works for this kind of television show.
Yeah.
I think they were nauseating intentionally at this point.
I hope so. This company gets a lot of benefit in hindsight, and then we call it storytelling.
No, it's let it play out stuff. That's what they've always said, is let it play out. And if it doesn't play out, then I'll happily go back and be like, that was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
But now this is playing out into a thing I didn't see coming, and it makes sense that they did what they did.
Yeah.
I agree, it was a risk.
I hope so.
But I kind of respect that somebody is willing to take a risk like that to start.
Assuming so. And the part that I'm having the hardest time with is like historically, she's not a giver, right? She's
I hear people say that a lot. Then when I look at actual like reports of what
that's what I'm talking about.
The dealings with her, I don't ever see anything from anybody that worked with her that says anything.
Didn't she throw a hissy fit?
She had like 10 of her friends from WWE flew and wore costumes so they would hide their appearance to be there for her first AEW show.
Right.
That's not somebody that burned bridges.
Well,
the whole locker room loves her.
That's not what I'm talking about. Is like management has had difficult with her. Like her and Bailey, one of the people that put a hoodie on, like they pitched a bitch that they had to lose the tag titles. That's a very famous story.
It's the story that the company let slip under Vince McMahon.
Well,
I'm not going to ever question anybody that had difficulty dealing with that management group.
But no. I don't think that's got nothing to do with Vince. That's we want you to drop the title, and then you throw a fit.
Again, that's what was leaked.
Yeah.
But when I look at the way that her coworkers look at her,
so you're saying it didn't happen? Is
I
that what you're saying?
No. I think it was leaked by the company. It was and probably played up because they did that kind of shit then.
But then you go to Comic-Cons and you stand 5 feet away from people, and then.
That's a different thing. I do think that she gets disgusted by wrestling fans quite a bit.
The evidence, she just doesn't. She's not likable. That's my point.
The actual, the evidence of people that have worked with her, love her and are very close to her.
What? Because people came to her debut. That's not evidence.
They didn't do that for anybody else.
Who?
There was 10 people, 10 WWE
She's the second biggest
female
signing of all time.
No, there was 10 women from the WWE locker room got together and dressed up so nobody would recognize them. And came to her. People don't do that they didn't do it for Punk or Moxley or Christian or that says to me that she's probably pretty cool. If you actually know her.
She's got 10 friends that haven't seen her wrestle in America in a while. I don't think it makes her likable.
I'm not saying it makes her likable. I'm saying it's evidence that she probably in real life is. We don't really know what any of these people are like. We have no idea what any of them are like.
I've never read a single thing about her that makes me seem like she's a nice person.
Except everybody that's ever worked with her.
Her friends. I mean, everybody's got friends. Dictators have friends.
But there's plenty of examples of wrestlers that do not have people that have spoken up about how much they love them or how great they are.
But that doesn't give evidence to the fact she's not.
That a bunch of people are willing to go to the press and be like, hey, she's awesome. Like, we think she's a legend. Or like a bunch of people that she's come before she was announced that she was coming in. There was like multiple women that had worked with her in the past but didn't have a chance to have matches with her that were like, I really hope we get so and so because I really want to like work with her because I think she's amazing.
She's going to get more eyeballs on me than anybody else.
I mean, that true as well. Yeah. But like, that's not the vibe you get from the people that like are that know her and talk about.
Feels
her.
a little sycophantic.
I think people give her shit. Online people give her shit a lot because honestly, because she's a woman and because the company talked shit about her.
But why just her then? There's a lot of women.
Because she's an outspoken, successful woman that left the big company that everybody loves.
Right. And it's maybe a little difficult to work with.
The only evidence I have from that is from the dude that I think is like the biggest bane to wrestling fans in like my lifetime. That's the stuff that comes from Vince or his office.
And the photos I saw where she was standing 5 feet away from people at a Comic-Con. That's all I'm saying. Like everything I have looked at reporting, because I don't know her personally. I don't know her friends. I don't have her fucking email address, I know.
So what's the 5 feet away from people? Why is that a
That's
problem?
A dick move, man. If people wait for 2 hours to come see you and you can't fucking stand right next to them to take a photo and they pay as much as they do for photos, it doesn't make you a nice person. It just doesn't. No one else does that. No one does meet and greets and stands far away.
Honestly, I haven't. I guess I'd have to see it to understand.
That was a huge like gripe people had, which like she's doing her first meet and greet in forever, and she wouldn't go anywhere near people.
I don't.
But that's
again, and then meet and greets. That's not really my. I have never. It's not been a huge thing for me. I did it when I was like. I saw Macho Man when I was a kid. That was pretty cool. But like, I've never really done it, so I'm not a big. Like you see, people love it, and it is something I could be a part of.
Right.
I'm not like looking down on it or anything. It's just something that I haven't done very much, so I'm not like within that part of the culture.
I just base it on photos. I've
seen her like getting kind of disgusted talking about specifically people that come to the airport and stuff.
I mean,
she talks about that a lot.
Rey Mysterio does now too.
And like that, I have
maybe not angrily.
Leave people alone.
Well, like I said, that's all of the things. So this included, and all the other wrestlers piping up is predominantly the reason I didn't say hi to Bayley when she was 3 feet in front of me about a month ago.
Yeah, well, because you're a reasonable person.
Yeah.
A general thing in life. If I don't really know somebody,
it's tough to come up.
I don't take from secondhand, like rumor specifically. I try not to make any judgments on their character. What I will do occasionally, though, is look at the people that they've like worked with or have been around quite a bit, and if all those people like pretty unanimously think well of and still are friends with or in contact with that person, wrestling or otherwise, like real life too. That's usually a pretty good indicator of what that person's really like.
Could be.
Outside of whatever rumor and stuff, like gossip that gets out there.
So take CM Punk. He has really close friends. He also has a terrible reputation with other people.
I think I have a pretty solid understanding of what Punk is because of the people that have been around him.
Well, now
I think he's like a dude that really wants to share like his knowledge of the business. It looks out for the people that are close to him, and they are very like fiercely loyal to him because he's the same way.
Right, but
he can also be very gruff.
But he ruined this company for a year.
Because he's got a big giant ego,
right.
and he thinks more of himself than just about anybody else.
Right.
Both of those things can be true and exist. I have friends that way, so I think that like looking at the people that have been close to CM Punk and around him gives you a pretty good idea of what he's like the people that he's worked with.
Right.
And I think you can say that of most people. Like, look at the people that they've worked with, not the bosses, not the people that like are online or like the ones that are saying negative things or spreading rumors. If you look at are they, after they leave a place, are they estranged from everybody that they were friends with?
He was.
Punk was not. He's still super close friends with Tamina, and they let him into the show.
In 2013 or 2014 when he left, he's not quiet. He didn't talk to people from the company for a long time.
That was his choice.
Yes, it was his choice. That makes him a difficult person. But if you listen,
look
at Lars Fredrickson, who the guy from Rancid, who he's tight as fuck with, like he has nothing but glowing reviews for this guy. He's outside the company.
But there are people within the company that had like glowing things to say about him too. He is he's a very difficult dude.
There's no conclusion here. My point is like reports I read, I don't like her. Reports you read, you do like her. Fair?
I don't even want to say I like her. I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm never going to believe shit from somebody that doesn't know a person if they're talking about that person's character. And the only people that I know her and know her character that have talked about her openly is positive stuff.
Yeah, but we don't know any of those people. So.
No, but I can say that they definitely know her and they have talked openly about her. The only people that have done that with her particularly, it's been only positive things.
All I'll say
and that's not true for everybody.
I'm just going to say when CM Punk does meet and greets, he puts Frank the Clown up in the go to sleep and interacts.
I know he's great at meet and greets, but I also have had the Brock Lesnar guy in my house, and I know what meet and greet people can be like. So I understand why maybe you want to stand a little back sometimes too.
It's 100% accurate. 100% of the time, you can't blame everybody.
All I have to say, Dave, is CEO.
Yeah.
CEO.
To be fair, we are talking about her for a long time, so she's doing something right.
Oh, hell yeah, she is.
She needs to get in the ring because no bullshit, I don't want to watch the TV when she's on because I am so turned off by.
I really enjoyed this segment.
This is the only thing I've enjoyed that she's done because she spoke very little and she was not the focus of it.
Yeah, whatever the reason. I did, and I'm with you. This is the first thing that I've enjoyed. Like I can say I've honestly enjoyed that she's done since she's been in AEW. I mean, but that's the thing we're talking about right now.
When you plummet the bar so far down, it's really easy to look good. So she's got the benefit of that. So where we left off was she's accusing what's her face
Willow
of attacking her in the dark. Chris Statlander said Willow just got attacked last week, and then she goes, how do we know that you, Mercedes, aren't the one who did it, which is the theory I had.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure that's them just acknowledging that the internet is putting it on her.
Yeah.
I don't ultimately think
I still
it's
think
her.
it's Statlander.
And then I wrote the hens squabble. Stokely Hathaway pipes in, says it was Julia Hart. And then Willow Nightingale says, even before all this who attacked who nonsense, I felt like you had a personal vendetta against me. So I have to ask, do you think I intentionally injured you that night we wrestled in New Japan? Which was a godsend right turn because this who attacked who in the fucking dark.
Yeah.
And this is also nice because I've heard they fought in New Japan.
But they've never addressed it directly.
They've never presented the story to me who doesn't watch New Japan. And Mercedes says, are you asking me if I blame you for almost ending my career? Are you asking me if I blame you for all the suffering and pain that I went through? Are you asking me if I'm blaming you for taking the one thing I love the most, wrestling, away from me for a whole year? You don't want the truth, Willow. You just want to feel better about what you did to me. Made me like her a lot more right away.
And Stokely in the background going, of course she did. It was great too.
Willow had doubts she could beat Mercedes if she was at had doubts she could beat Mercedes if she was at 100% from herself and from others. Willow said that there's an asterisk.
Yeah,
How do you say that?
You got it.
It's a hard word for me. Next to the New Japan titles since Mercedes was injured, but there is no asterisk next to the TBS title. Wasn't Julia Hart injured?
Not in kayfabe.
Oh, I was gonna say that's you literally just won a title.
That
off
was
an
something
lady.
Honestly, nobody's even ever because we couldn't even figure out what the injury was.
Yeah.
Right. So that might not be true at all. We just assumed it was, but definitely not in kayfabe. They didn't do any.
Willow wants Mercedes at 100% at Double or Nothing. Mercedes says Willow knows in her heart she can't beat her. So then Mercedes turns around and goes to leave. Statlander touches Mercedes on the shoulder, and Mercedes turns around and slaps Willow Nightingale, thinking she's the one that touched
thinking
her.
It was thinking it was Willow when it was actually Stat, which lends some credence to my theory.
The correct answer here is Statlander's turning heel.
Yeah,
because her as a heel, Jesus Christ,
scary as hell. Yeah, it's best wrestler in the company.
How hard she works. Yeah, absolutely.
I loved that Willow in the middle of this started doing her promo at both. Mercedes and then also turning to the camera because she's like super babyface and like you guys can believe in me, so she's going halfway back and forth and it's like kind of awkward in the best possible way. Right. I loved it. She's like and then like back to the camera.
She's terrific.
Yeah, she's
actually
amazing.
Everybody came out of this segment looking better.
Yeah.
So see, we should have finished this segment, then we wouldn't have had to bitch about Mercedes
Big
for
win.
So long.
People like that though, Dave. They're listening to us.
Just
bicker,
confirm or deny. So that was that. So that's going to be fun. They're properly building this. They're adding, I hope they do like video package showing the injury or like some clips of their match.
I would imagine they have to.
They have to.
That's a need. Like that would be a miss if they didn't do it.
I agree completely.
You need to,
because that
not everybody want like. That wasn't even a big NJPW show because it was one of the American NJPW shows, which that gets lower viewership just overall globally than one of the regular shows.
Right.
Like, I saw it, but I don't it was like me and 200,000 other people in America.
Right. Next we had the Elite.
The Elite.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Elite.
Backstage, Alex Marvez was.
He was gray hair too.
Jack Perry leaves Tony Khan's
Scoops.
office. And Alex Marvez asks if he's reinstated. Jack Perry taps Alex on his shoulder, says nothing, and walks off.
Smirk. First smirks.
Yeah, the Eagle camera, right?
That's his trademark now.
Very Jim Halpert of him. Okada's the next to leave the office. Says nothing, walks away. Nick Jackson leaves the office, says nothing, walks away.
Come on, give me something, guys. I need a scoop.
And then Matt Jackson grants that wish because he says he wishes he had better answers for him. But so Tony Khan just agreed to meet tonight in the ring with Jack Perry.
I will tell you one thing. Tony Khan did just agree to meet Jack Perry in the ring tonight.
Yeah. You gotta all your the voices you're really good at they're all
Gravel.
They're all down here.
Yeah, Gravel. It's been DDP. It was Canyon, like back in the day. Stone Cold. Like, it's always that. It's
frying your vocals.
It's what I do.
Yeah. The next thing up was the Casino Gauntlet, which we had no information about.
No idea. They didn't really. I think the announcers didn't have all the information about it either because they were all kind of like, so wait, how does this work?
Yeah, it felt like an improv routine.
The match was amazing, but like nobody, including the fans and the announce crew, knew really what was going on
Not
here.
At all.
I thought Dante Martin was eliminated when he got thrown over the top rope because they kind of thought that too, I think.
Because they just kept saying that it's sudden death.
Sudden death, but I didn't know if that meant sudden death to the win or sudden death elimination.
No idea. But without explaining it too well at all, what that meant was if you win the match is over and no more new guys are coming out.
If any pinfall or submission occurs,
that's it.
During the course of this match, the person that got that pinfall or forced the submission wins the match. No matter who it's on, when it happens. They did say as many as 21 people could end up participating. That's the number that they had, that like if nobody gets a pinfall or submission before that number comes out, it'll end wherever that ends. But 21 potential, which I really liked because that never happens where they say there's this many, but they may not get to that many. In wrestling, it always gets to that many. Yeah. And here it didn't.
Not even
which was like,
close.
Ooh, this is cool.
It wasn't
like,
even half it
feels way more real.
I did want to go back. I meant to do this, but I forgot. I'd go back and look at the roster and to see who else could have been. I have a feeling it was going to be a big drop off.
Well,
quality-wise, because this was
it was a bunch of like pretty close to the top of the card guys.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It was going to be like John Silver or something. This match went 18 minutes 40 seconds. It started out with two guys. Those two guys are.
Did we mention what the prize was? By the way,
we did not. It is the winner gets an international title match at Double or Nothing against Roderick Strong, coming off a lovely match against Kyle O'Reilly.
Roddy's look is totally fully formed now too. I like it. He's got the mustache with the short like 5 o'clock shadow otherwise, and the specs with the see-through rims. I like those.
He's got falling like Michael Douglas and falling down.
Very much that energy. Yeah.
I also kind of a stretch here, but I thought he had the similar vibes of the military dad who lived next door to Kevin Spacey in American Beauty that ends up kissing him.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah. That dude had falling down vibes.
Yeah, that's
so like
just like I don't know, really like I have a lot of secrets and live in the suburbs kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
He's got a crawl space. But match started out with Jay White and Dante Martin. Jay White and the Guns come out. They have all the gold.
Yeah.
All the gold with those pink titles.
I love the entrance, the way that Jay White's doing his creepo thing, getting right up into the camera and holding the belt up. And I couldn't hear quite what he was saying, but it was like
can't imagine why.
Slimy and tealy. And Jay White was awesome in this match.
Jay White is awesome, period.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, specifically at this kind of thing, though, like the able to capitalize on people not paying attention.
Yeah,
it's what he does best.
Right,
it slides in like you could tell that it's silence just from watching it.
Right,
coming up from behind people and hitting them with like devastating moves. I kind of want to see like I don't want him to leave AEW because it's my favorite promotion, and I think that he'd be just worse in WWE because he wouldn't be allowed to do much of what he does, but. I do want to see him in a Royal Rumble one day just because, like, I want to see him do this in a Rumble.
Yeah.
Where he's, like, sliding up like a snake behind people and eliminating them, like, out of nowhere.
Snake. So the way this works is I started timing these, They were basically coming in at 2-minute There was no countdown or nothing. They just music would just randomly hit. It was 2 minutes per guy. If there was a commercial break, it was 4 minutes per guy because they were accounting for the commercial break. But starts out with Jay White and Dante Martin. 2 minutes later was Penta.
Yeah.
As Cero Miedo. Next was a nice fresh haircut. Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, he doesn't look as much like a Beverly guy anymore.
He looks good again.
Looks like Kyle O'Reilly again.
Yeah. After Kyle O'Reilly comes out, we hear from commentary, we will learn who Swerve's Double or Nothing challenger will be next week on Dynamite. So they just shot that right in the middle.
They put that in there. I thought that was a little bit earlier. Sorry.
They might have, but that's just where the note I put it. Out next is Will Ospreay. So if you just look at who's in the ring,
it's insane
right now.
it's insane.
Good Lord. Jay White, Dante Martin, Penta, Kyle O'Reilly, Will Ospreay. That is a
murderer's row.
Hey, friend who's not used to wrestling, maybe we watch this.
Do you want to see what modern wrestling can look like?
And this was fun.
Kyle O'Reilly is when he gets to counter lucha moves, it's like my favorite thing in the world
because he practically knows.
He knows whatever he's gonna do, and he does some kind of a cool counter move to every single thing.
Yeah, he's good. They're all good. Everyone in this match.
Yes, everybody is.
And not everybody in this match. I'll get to that guy in a second. They did a cool thing after Ospreay came in. Jay White and Will Ospreay had a little interaction, and then they start smiling like assholes.
Yeah.
Like kids who haven't seen each other since camp last year. And the crowd goes nuts.
Yeah.
And I guess
they've got a holy shit for that one. For them facing off.
Yeah, the holy shit chant. And they have some history.
Yeah.
Right?
And JPW. Yeah, they were like both top of the card at the same time. Both were champ.
Was it a world title?
I think they may have had a world title match. I don't quote me on that, but they definitely crossed paths. They were at the top of the card at the same time.
Yeah. 2 minutes later, Lance Archer comes out, looking awesome. 4 minutes later, we had a commercial break. Out comes Commander. Will Ospreay made Commander look like peak form Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, he did. I was going to say, Commander was great in this match.
He looked awesome.
Yeah.
But again, it would be really hard not to look good with everyone in here is... Oh, by the way, Jay Lethal was out next.
Yeah. He was good here too, though.
He's like a bigger dude.
Yeah.
And like he's in the ring with a bunch of guys not quite as big. He looked fucking monstrous in this ring. And he looked like a real problem.
He was bringing it. Yeah. But he was hitting his old stuff. Like, it's hard to do with all these people flying around, and he didn't miss a step. Like,
I couldn't get over how much I enjoyed this.
It was awesome.
And in this one, 18 minutes 40 seconds felt like 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
The only gripe in this is any battle royal, like everybody rolled out of the ring and died for 5 minutes.
I like this. For clarity purposes, I did like this better than if it would have been a battle royal.
Yes,
I like always want them to do this. If this is going to be their casino whatever thing prior to Double or Nothing, always do it this way. I like this better than any battle royal you can do.
Only 8 guys.
Yeah.
So they had a proposed 21. Only 8 guys came out.
I loved that too.
And it was a sprint. Everybody got their stuff in. Everybody went into a diabetic coma outside the ring and fell asleep for a little while.
We got a bunch of pretty interesting like pairings that you wouldn't otherwise get to see, like the Commander Will Ospreay stuff. A Commander did even his like squirrely rope run, thing that he does. He it was clear he knew he was in the ring with some legit people and he had to bring it because even that stuff he hit perfectly.
Yeah,
usually he's got a little bit of a stumble or something on one of those.
It played into the end of the, and his gear looked good too. I don't know. I mean, maybe
everybody had their A game here.
Yeah.
Penta, not in blue though. No. Penta in black.
Penta in black. I see the. I wish I knew the Painted Black lyrics, but not the biggest Stones fan. But it would have been Penta Black.
I want him Penta Black. I watch my British wrestling. No. I was going to try to bring Will Ospreay back in there, but I don't know.
Bum, 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 bum. The finish. The hell was that?
My Neidhart alarm.
Oh, yeah.
Were you about to talk about Jim Neidhart in the middle of
this? Historically fat Jim Neidhart. Did you ever notice he was bloated his entire career? He never had wow, Jim Neidhart's a pretty good face.
No. Coming off injury, whenever he's always all ripped.
Neidhart got yoked.
Neidhart's looking great.
Nope.
Yeah.
The finish saw Will Ospreay
poutine, I think.
Starts, which you can't get in the States, which is, poutine's good anywhere in the States, but it's not really poutine. It's just really loaded fries.
Not squeaky cheese like you get in Canada.
No. Will Ospreay starts going for the Tiger Driver 91 on Kyle O'Reilly. He hesitates, which allows Kyle O'Reilly to slap on the armbar.
Yeah.
Due to Will Ospreay's hesitation. I'm not going to give him a lot of points here for continuity because it just fucking happened, and they're making it so obvious. He retired it in the press conference. Like, cool.
Yeah, but
it's important that they're
not
sticking
everybody
with it.
watches the press conference. Not everybody's online, like you have pointed out many times.
Yeah, that's fair.
So bring it back right now, front and center. Tell us the story here too, because not a lot of people, like compared to the number of people watch Dynamite.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people watch the pay-per-view, or definitely not a lot of people watch the press scrum.
Right.
So like, do it here.
If you heard those two slaps there, that is Sully putting me right in my place.
Just reminding you what a brilliant guy you are.
I wasn't done yet by reminding me how brilliant of a guy I am. No, you're right though. You're right. Even if not everybody who watches Dynamite gets the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Not everybody who watches the pay-per-view even goes on YouTube to watch. You're right. You're 100% right. So, okay, great. Do it. Glad they did it.
Also
Happy
did
about
it on a guy that has had neck problems. So very serious, very recent neck problems.
Yeah. So while Kyle O'Reilly has the armbar on Will Ospreay, Commander does his walk on the rope, and then he does like a picture-perfect shooting star press, lands on Kyle O'Reilly, and then Will Ospreay is now free. And he slaps the hidden blade to get the W.
You can't let Will Ospreay get free.
No. No. So he is going to be challenging Roderick Strong for the international title at Double or Nothing. After the match, Roderick Strong comes out, followed by the rest of the Undisputed. What are they called? The Undisputed Kingdom?
Undisputed Kingdom.
I have UK here, and I'm like, are they the United Kingdom? I get tripped up all the time.
I like that. I know it's the country, but I like that as a stable name too.
The UK?
United Kingdom.
Yeah. I think they did that in like a video game.
Oh, okay.
Where they had like all the English guys and Regal. I think it was like in a WWE game. But yeah, they just stare down. Adam Cole was up walking again. So this match... It's going to be another 7-star match.
It's going to be outstanding. And also, story-wise, who else has had very public, very recent giant neck problems?
I
love when they are trying. It's story-wise.
That's very... I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of the Kyle O'Reilly thing until you said it.
He almost died.
Yeah.
And the other guy was in a neck brace in a wheelchair for 6 months or whatever. I love it. Love all of it. I love that Will Ospreay's now got something to do that gets people off of paying attention to why isn't this guy challenging for the world title, because I don't want him to have the world title yet.
No.
But I want it to make sense for him not to have the world title yet.
I keep hearing the dumbest things about Will Ospreay about, I don't understand how he's a face and he's in a heel faction. I hear the shit about Stokely Hathaway and Willow. How come they got a heel manager and she's the most over face? It's like, because this is very nuanced storytelling.
Those are the people that you just say, why don't you watch the show?
Yeah.
And then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Tune in.
Because they're all told.
Yeah.
The answers to all these questions are told within the stories.
If you have any questions, tune in Friday mornings to the Blue Thunder
Absolutely. Yeah, we can break it down for you.
Where... And I've been putting, I'll listen back to stuff, and I've said it to you so many times. I'll be listening back to the shows. I'm like, son of a bitch, he was right. It's good, though. It's good. One thing, we're historically been anti, but are now so pro.
I can't believe it.
The Learning Tree.
I can't believe how in I am on this.
Chris Jericho. He's one of the greatest things in wrestling.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of his thing. It went a little long again, like his match did too. But I like the theme song is not great, but it's not great like
on purpose.
On the purpose.
Yeah,
and he's also brilliant because he doesn't want to ruin his big hit single. So when he's going to be a dick. He always gets new music, and then does the new music is then associated with him being a dick, and then when he turns face or whatever, he gets to bring his own single back,
and it's gonna be enormous.
Yeah,
everyone's gonna scream sing it when it finally comes back. But his new theme song starts off with "I am the Learning Tree."
Yeah, new graphic, everything.
Yeah, it's dope. They're talking on commentary about Hook, and Taz just says he's not medically cleared. That's it. Taz
Yeah.
is being very like, I don't want to talk about this kind of thing on commentary.
You think it's not medically cleared? Is it currently negotiating with NXT?
It's possible. It's possible.
I think there's a chance.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
I the best thing for Hook.
Yeah. You get a lot of time at the Performance Center to say each and
put him
every one
right
of
on
you.
TV, please. You can talk like Damian Priest then.
Again, if you have not listened to our WWE edition, we are going to say some things about Damian Priest. Chris Jericho gets in the ring and says, "It's true, I'm the new FTW champion. It's great, right?" And there's been a lot of negative connotation with the letters FTW. Does it mean F the world? Does it mean forget the world? None of those things. FTW means for the world,
guys.
because this is for all of you. He is giving this promo like he's a tone-deaf actor who just got an award.
100%.
Right?
Exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's really, really, and he's nodding like a politician would nod, like kind of pursing his lips and like,
nodding like there are people there agreeing with him,
Yeah.
which there are none. But he's doing the
it's
right,
awesome.
guys. Mm-hmm.
It's so fucking good. He said, "We won this together, guys. Thank you." And the whole wrestling world is buzzing over this big victory, and I can see why. I'm only doing God's work, and by God, I mean the God of pro wrestling, Terry Funk, told me years ago, "Chris, it's not your responsibility. It's now your responsibility to teach the younger generation and take them to the next level." And that's what I'm doing.
Terry, by the way, the Terry Funk poll. Terry Funk, famously, probably the best guy in history, according to other wrestlers, at like helping out the young guys. Like everywhere he went, he was anybody ever had to say about him was like, oh, he just wanted to put over the young guys and teach them like the ways of the business so that they wouldn't fall like later in their careers. He just helped out everybody he touched.
Right.
It's like he's best friends with Mick Foley for a reason. Like just a great dude. And for him to pull Terry Funk as like his own personal comp to himself is fantastic.
Also in the company of really smart wrestling fans.
Yeah.
This is going to sting a little hard.
Absolutely.
Because everybody adores Terry Funk.
Yeah.
So he says, so thanks to Terry Funk. And once again, thanks to all of you. Thank you. He keeps... Again, acceptance speech vibes. It was dope. He said, then he thanks Hook. He said his only flaws, there's still some things he needs to take from the learning tree. Lessons I want to teach him, including getting rid of the dead weight that surrounds him, like Taz and Shibata, and all the collateral damage, the clowns that surround him.
Yeah.
And more importantly, Hook, you need to listen to me when I tell you need to stay down. I told you to stay down at Dynasty. You kept getting back up. After 2 Judas effects, you forced me to hit you in the head with a baseball bat, so that's on you.
Also putting over for the people that didn't see it, that Hook got up from 2 Judas effects.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I know you're at home listening and thinking about the lessons you've learned, and that's exciting to me. I instantly thought of like 3 or 4 middle management douchebags I had.
Absolutely. And like
this is a really exciting
team
time.
Meetings, like work team meetings. Like,
that awful office lingo. Oh, that popped me. And then he hypes up how effective the Jericho Vortex has been when he gets abruptly interrupted by Big Bill.
Yeah.
Big Bill got 0 reaction. But that's okay.
I think probably because people were thinking the same thing as me, which is like, I don't know, Big Bill, he was a world champ.
Yeah.
He was a world tag champ. He's not like a guy that would need in storyline to be helped up the card.
It's not like Alex
just
Reynolds
a world
or
champ.
something.
He's been awesome since he got there. He's just been a world champ.
Yeah.
And I get that they're leaning into, and they probably picked him because they knew that it would get us to be like, what? Bill doesn't need Jericho? Because the story is that nobody really needs Jericho. Jericho just thinks it, and he's probably convinced this guy that.
Also, too, Ricky Starks going to the Fed.
I thought so for forever. He's hurt again, pretty bad.
Yeah,
that's why they dropped the titles. I think it was he got hurt, or maybe not why, but in the match that they lost he got like a pretty serious injury.
Yeah,
that's why he's not been on TV or anything.
I gotcha. But okay, so now Chris Jericho has a big ass heater.
Yeah,
right.
Like
so
the best one you can have.
Who can also talk?
Yeah.
Like,
Big Bill's awesome.
There's
on the
a
mic
lot
at this point.
They could do a lot.
He could be a main eventer if they decide they want to do that with him.
Yeah. So Big Bill comes out. He says, "I've been listening in the back, and I only have one thing to say. I need the guidance of the learning tree." I thought he was going to say SAWFT.
Yeah.
I got one thing to say. S-A. He would have never said that. Boo. Everybody knows you are the Socrates of pro wrestling. always willing to give advice, always willing to lend a hand, and always willing to take a less established guy and bring him right to the top with you. And Jericho's nodding like he's receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
It's just
like sagely.
Awesome. The most smug motherfucker ever. Big Bill's lobbying real hard to be accepted into the learning
puppy here.
It was awesome. He's like pleading his case to be led into the learning tree. And Jericho goes, I've been watching you for a long time. Been a big fan.
You were just a tag champ like a couple of weeks ago.
And he's like, well, you're one of the I'm one of the reasons you're even in AEW. So he's going to think about what he said and to see if what he says is true, right? A home run segment. There, I just said I'm tired of Jericho being like a faction leader, but if he's going to have a cult of little like tryhards,
yeah,
I'm so for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing that the reason that the tag titles were vacated was because Ricky Starks got hurt.
Is that why they?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's the only reason Sting was a champion?
It became... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Did they beat them or did they win?
No, they beat them.
Oh, I guess they did. So it was in that match. It was in that match that he got hurt then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, again, they only had that match because the ratings deemed them... like
because it was Sting and Darby because they had won every match they ever had for 4 years.
Yeah. They were the number one tag team. So,
but yeah, Ricky Starks got injured in the Sting Darby match.
Yeah. Love Chris Jericho again. Would like to buy some of his T-shirts.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So in
he's the best carny motherfucker ever.
Something about his look too. Like he looks healthy again.
He does.
Like,
he looks like he's into this. We've talked about this a million times on the show, but like you can tell when somebody is invested in
Moxley
likes the story that they're doing. They're invested in it. It comes across. It makes them even look physically healthier because they're when they are enthusiastic about the thing that they're doing. See Young Bucks / Okada,
right?
Like it comes across in the performance, and it just makes everything easier to like and enjoy or hate if you're supposed to hate it or whatever. Like, I'm shocked that he was able to do it again. Like.
I hated when people were putting him on the Mount Rushmore, like, oh, you have to have Chris Jericho there. He's reinvented himself so many times, but historically in AEW, this is the only time I've liked him.
I've liked
That's
him
not true.
At the start of a bunch of stuff.
At the start. When he does Le Champion, a little bit of the bubbly.
Yeah.
His stuff with MJF, but like, I guess his win-loss record with gimmicks in this company is lopsided.
Yeah. Like generally they start strong and then they just, whatever he's doing goes on for too long.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's learned that because he's clearly reading the internet.
He's sitting under the right tree, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Backstage we have Renee, and she's with Will Ospreay, Don Callis, and Kyle Fletcher. Don Callis was pushing Will Ospreay to do the Tiger Driver 91. Will Ospreay doesn't want to. Don Callis doesn't care. Will Ospreay doesn't want to do it because he's like, he broke his neck.
Yeah, I
don't want to do it to him. And Don
you saw what happened at the show.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care if Daniel Bryan has 5 broken necks. He really wants him to do it. Kyle Fletcher tries to defend Will Ospreay. Don Callis says Kyle Fletcher has no room to talk about winning matches right now. That's because he just ate a big L to Swerve earlier in the show. And Don Callis has to go to the ring to accompany Hobbs and win another title for the Don Callis family. It's just smart, man.
Yeah.
Like you're creating subcategories in your own fucking camp, and it's good.
And doing crossovers with other like multiple stories at one time with different people, different factions. Like
it's weaving really well.
Yep.
Next was the IWPG title. GP. What did I write?
You said PG. It's IWGP.
No, it's the one that they can play on Nickelodeon. It's the IWPG. Boo. My fingers were typing too fast. I got the lyric or the words.
IWPG era.
IWGP title. Moxley versus Hobbs.
They actually said, I forget what it means, but they said, what's this told you this week, like what the letters stand for on this broadcast.
So just if you can call in right now, that'd be great. Lines are open.
I don't even have a line in my house.
It'd be wild if he sent us a text right now. Just like about anything. It's like, whoa.
I was just thinking you guys might want to know what the IWGP stands for. And
subscribe to the Patreon. 10 minutes, 43 seconds. I don't have I didn't really write any much notes for the match because when matches like this happen where I know it's a conclusion and I'm just waiting for the end of the match because I know shenanigans are going to happen, I got a real hard time staying focused.
It's rough in general. If it's like a super banger, I can do that. But this was, it was just okay for the first half. And then I'm almost positive Will Hobbs got pretty seriously hurt. Yeah. And they had to go home early, which is why it ended so abruptly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Hobbs like was down, was not getting up, was still not getting up, and it was way too long for like the kayfabe injury he had, or like the kayfabe thing that happened to him. Right. He was taking way too long to get up, and then you could see there was like conversation between him and the ref, and him and Mox, and then they like pretty quickly went to like Hobbs tried one more move or whatever, and then they went to the
his rear naked choke.
First he did the DDT, not the Death Rider, the less than Death Rider.
What do you call Dirty Deeds?
That's what it was called.
No, what the hell is it called?
I always say Death Rider, but it wasn't a full Death Rider.
I'm ashamed.
It's the something change, or it's about the Paradigm shift. Yeah, there you go. Hits that, kicks out of that, and he rolls over. You know, the classic Moxley. He goes for the pin after that move and then rolls that immediately over into the Bulldog choke, which ended it like pretty quick. And then they had a bunch of medical professionals came into the ring like immediately to see. I think Hobbs may have like torn his ACL or something. Which is why the match was clunkier than it would have been otherwise. Because when they were getting to the point that they usually in these like kind of brawler matches start to pick it up, was right when Hobbs went down. Yeah. So it was, but I don't want to blame the guys in the match because I'm pretty sure just unfortunately Will Hobbs got hurt, which is a bummer because I love that dude.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's okay. Maybe it was just like a sprain that he was freaking out about or something because you see that occasionally. So.
I was just Googling Will Hobbs injury. Thankfully, I don't see anything.
That's good.
So that possible injury, but it probably would have been reported by now, right?
I hope so. I mean, I'm almost 100% certain they thought he was hurt at least because I went back and watched it again too, and it was like, okay, he's calling for assistance here. Yeah. And then they all of a sudden, like right after he did that, they went home. Yeah. So like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah, that'd be great though if it wasn't. Yeah. Of course, it could be that he's like, it takes a day or so usually when they are doing ACL stuff or ligament stuff in the knee. They'll do like the stress test and then like, geez, my night heart alarm. I have no idea. I have no idea what that is.
I hope it's not a carbon monoxide detector.
They'll no.
Never finishing the episode.
That makes a terrible. We won't even know. We'll just be like.
That's fair.
All of a sudden, we'll be doing our podcast from a cloud.
What a way to go out! How'd you guys wrap it up? Well, we were talking about
Will Hobbs. Yeah. Potential meniscus tear. But yeah, it could be good though that there's nothing out there yet. Maybe he's not actually hurt. Yeah. These companies both have been pretty good in 2024 about not letting the dirt sheets get a hold of what actual injuries are though. We still don't know like Julia Hart.
Right. That's
what
fair.
That was or what Ricky Stark's injury actually was.
Good. Yeah. More of that. Takeshita comes out.
The best pants I've ever seen in my life.
He's like a Street Fighter character. That's what's the other one? What was the big one? Not
Tekken.
Tekken, yeah, exactly. And he just looks like I don't know, like he stepped out of a video game,
or a kung fu movie, or like
But apparently he's going to be the next challenger for Jon Moxley, which I'm here for.
Yeah, that could be a real fun matchup.
Absolutely,
Mox works good with those kinds of dudes, like. Yeah. By kinds of dudes, I mean best wrestlers in the world. but like Takeshita's got the beef and intimidation factor too, that he can like stand up to a dude like Mox, even if he didn't have all the like explosive, crazy moves that he does. Just his strikes and stuff, he could go toe to toe with Moxley, which is not always believable with everybody. Right, he can do that. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Renee is backstage next with Shibata. And Shibata uses a voice translator to do his entire promo.
He does.
He basically is challenging next week for the FTW title. And again, the audio really wasn't in our favor here because I had to lean.
I only saw this on Fight and it was good.
I had to put AirPods in to like try to get to it, but it was funny. And then he ends his whole thing with those rhinestones make a heart. Renee's shirt has like a cutout of a heart with rhinestones around it. I don't like that they're making him Simple Jack, kind of.
It's funny. Like it's tough for me because I remember Shibata being like the killer guy, and now he's like comedy kind of.
Yeah.
Not in the ring, he's not comedy, but like but all that every one of these promos. The way he said it to Renee too is, I like that the rhinestones make a heart on that shirt.
Yeah.
It's fun. And she's like, I thought it was fun too.
Maybe I'm reading too much into the simpleness.
Very
of it.
amusing. But yeah, they are making him sit like kind of a whatever silly dude, at least I'll say. Like, I'm fine with that though. If he he doesn't want to cut fiery promos in Japanese, because I don't think he speaks a word of English. So like, this is a good way to have a character like and in an interesting way.
The trust that guy's giving people to write the correct thing in and translate it correctly if he doesn't speak any English.
Well, he could just like ask Takeshita or Okada, like, hey, what are they saying about me? And
this is no, never mind. Dodged a bullet there. In the ring, Tony Schiavone is standing.
I will say that because I don't consider the match in this situation to be this. I think this was the main event of the evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Perry. That's all Tony Schiavone
just
says.
Fucking bails.
He leaves. Jack Perry comes out to no music. The fans are chanting, "Go cry me a river."
They gotta pay for it. I don't like. He's a billionaire, right? You gotta buy that song. You have to.
What, the Seven Nation Army?
No, Cry Me a River.
Yes, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
Jack Perry needs to come out to Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you don't.
It's probably like $500,000 every time you play it. I don't care. He's a billionaire.
Just make it pay-per-views. You bought the Final Countdown.
I love a Rounders reference. Nice.
Jack Perry says he'd like to be face-to-face with Tony Khan. And Tony Khan walks out as advertised.
Oh, my God.
Tony Khan is the most uncomfortable looking
He shouldn't
man.
be on TV.
No.
Like, I liked what they did here, and as long as his character is off TV forever now, that's fine too. But it was very amusing, his behavior.
He's so awkward.
He's the most awkward guy I've ever seen on television.
Jack Perry said, "It's been a long road. Almost 5 years ago was the very first Double or Nothing, and since then AEW has gone on to change the world." Yeah. Hashtag hyperbolic. Now, Tony...
Well, that's going to be their catchphrase now, because they said it at the end.
Yeah. Change. That's fair. Okay, I retract my hyperbolic hashtag. Now, Tony, it's no secret we've had our ups and downs. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but I want to tell you this right now from the bottom of my heart. I swear to God, the only thing I've ever wanted is what's best for AEW. So I want to ask you to please shake my hand, reinstate me, and let's go on and continue to change the world together. That's twice. Yeah. Tony looks like he just met Jack Perry at a meet and greet and could not run over to him fast enough.
12 years old.
No,
like, oh my God.
He shakes his hand instantly, and they pull each other in for a hug.
Whole time, by the way, Tony Khan is doing like thumbs up to the crowd and like his goofy grin and a bunch of like, yeah, guys.
And Jack Perry is dead-eyed looking into the hard cam.
Yeah, he's got Tony Khan in the embrace, but then he turns his head so he's looking into the hard cam, and he does like you said, dead eye, and then like smirk, like shit, here it comes.
Here we go. Jack Perry, he's raising his and Tony Khan's hand. He's holding Tony Khan's hand. They're both raising their arms like they're celebrating. And then Jack Perry just sticks Tony Khan in the gut with a microphone.
Thumps him in the chest with the head of a microphone.
And
Tony Khan goes into a coma.
Yeah,
for about 30 seconds.
There was less pain in the Bonnie and Clyde execution scene than Tony Khan had. He looks like he got hit with, I don't know, like Tommy guns.
Sold it like Shawn Michaels in the SummerSlam against Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. And he got hit with a microphone with a giant piece of foam on it. So
in like the sternum too. It was across his head.
And he felt, you could tell this was his first time having to sell an injury because he adjusted how he was injured on the ground. Yeah. So at first he lays down and his arms are over his head like he's out cold. And then there's a moment where you're like, oh, I should probably ball up a little bit.
I wouldn't be unconscious from that.
No. Wait a minute. So then he curls up like as if you would.
He's writhing around over the top too.
The solar plexus. I already wrote that. The Elite run out and calm down Jack Perry.
You weren't supposed to do that. It wasn't supposed to go this way.
Absolutely. They're
you weren't supposed to do that.
Scolding him, and they're checking if Tony is okay. And the way they're checking if Tony is okay is each of the Young Bucks are grabbing one
Helping
of
him up.
Tony's arms and slowly pick it up, and the crowd's like,
oh,
and it's like we could see an EVP trigger right here. Okada is the voice of reason. He makes them stop, and then he gives them the thumbs up.
and the Scott Hall, NWO.
And then Tony Khan gets lifted by Matt Jackson into the tombstone pile driver position. Nick Jackson goes to the top of the top rope. He doesn't springboard it. He just wants to hit this correctly, and they do the TK driver.
Pays off the name of the Tony Khan driver.
The refs run in and scream different versions of what is wrong with you. The Elite leave, and then
Pitch Ranger, what's going on here? What's wrong with you guys?
a bunch of roster guys come out after the Elite leaves.
I like that it's after they left. Like they were all afraid of them.
They hate Tony Khan. By the way, one of the guys that is apparently afraid of the Young Bucks is Tony Khan's father,
Shad Khan, yes, and his $12 billion fortune,
who is being this is the equivalent of your daughter asking you to play princess and put makeup on. He's just out there having to be like, "Oh, my son was really hurt." No. This was cool. So a lot of it doesn't make sense, but it was very cool visual.
I'm like, this for sure. I'm going to let play out. They need to give me a good explanation as to how this is going to work.
Right.
That they're going to be in charge for a while here now. You need to give me a reason for that because they've been the company that has been pretty adamant about like making things like this real. Yeah. Like they don't even like having cameras in the back unless there's a reason that they state on air. Why is there a camera there? It wouldn't make sense to have a camera there. Right. They make a point to make a statement of it. That said, that's not something they could do here anyway. Oh. So Tony Khan did, in fact, today was the NFL draft. Tony Khan is always present for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he was, in fact, wearing a neck brace at the draft. So he's selling it everywhere he goes. That's great. I need a, like, in storyline, I need in our contract, if Tony is not capable of fulfilling his duties, they're contractually obliged to have us as the decision makers on television or whatever, or something better than that, hopefully. But something for sure. Because right now it's just like, well, it just fired CM Punk for making him flinch. Yeah. So it needs to be that because we're EVPs, you can't do that for some reason.
Right.
But I'll let that play out because they couldn't do that right here.
I'm like, all right, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because
it has to be,
there were too many, but also too, this is terrific episodic storytelling because they gave you 20% of the story. Yeah. And now I gotta know what's going on here. And they're not going to put it on Twitter. Yeah. It's not going to be like a thing that's going to skip everything because this ended your big show after a pay-per-view that was like almost universally a culture shift. Because how many titles change hands? Pretty much all of them that were defended? Yeah,
most of the titles change hands and a pay-per-view that had a like universally praised match. Yeah. From like across all of the wrestling community.
And a lot of guys that were on Sunday were not on this show. So like they're really clearly doing something. And I got to give it pause right now because I want to rip it apart for reasons that I don't think it would be fair to rip it apart for you. It's not. It's like it's page 50 of a book that's got 200 pages. Like I don't know what's going to happen yet. But I hate. I just said you can't do this shit online, but I was online after trying to see what some theories were. There's a lot of NWO comparisons.
Oh, Okada did the Scott Hall NWO point. Yeah. They're making reference to it.
But it's not going to be like an NWO thing.
I don't think so.
They
generally don't do direct rip-off stuff. No. They do a lot of homage and like winking like this is something that you liked in the past, but their stories are almost always like pretty unique, just with flavors of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
They haven't really missed with these characters so far this year, as far as the Elite go, and it's obviously like this is the Elite have been Tony Khan's main thing that he's been focused on. So like this was the story, I'm sure. Like prior to the Bucks even coming back, it's probably what they pitched Okada on. Yeah, was this story that they're currently doing. So I'm thinking they put a lot of thought into what they're going to do. And like this, outside of Tony Khan's absolute inability to be on television, this all like everybody did their job really well here.
Yes.
The characters they were playing and stuff. Again, Okada was like kind of the star without doing much, just because he's Okada. But the Bucks too, like they sold the character stuff.
Right.
Jack Perry absolutely did what he was supposed to do here.
Finally, after months of asking, did something that got them genuine ass heel heat.
Yeah.
This was what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
So
that's why I say let it play out, Dave.
Yeah, but like you, to a degree, like, because you can't. I can't always assume it's going to be a year and a half of storytelling.
This wasn't. This was a couple of months. The Bucks came back, were douchey middle managers.
Yeah.
The entirety of that, like, early part of the character build, that's what they were doing. It was 100% just talking to lower end people, lower echelon people,
right?
Like middle managers would. Brought their boy in, started to be more prominent on television, started to incorporate Tony Khan a little bit in their stuff. Then in the last couple of weeks, Tony Khan's right next to him, being a mark for them, basically. They've weaseled their way up this whole time from that low middle management position to now they're in Gorilla the whole show, every show for the last 2 or 3 weeks, getting closer and closer and closer to Tony Khan.
Adjusting production and
stuff.
Stuff.
Got him to agree to bring their guy back, who's in kayfabe, Tony Khan was furious with and kicked out of the company basically, but wouldn't let him out of his contract or whatever.
Right.
Got him to agree to like bring that guy back, and now they're all in so far that they felt that they could like take him out now. Now that was their plan from the start. They had to build their way up to that, so that's why they were like weaselly middle manager douche guys to start, and that the entire time they've been throughout like the episodic television program, building their like cachet or getting themselves weaseled in closer and closer to the boss. And they got him to a point where he was willing to convince them to come out on air into a ring, which he very rarely does.
Yeah.
And
never
able to take him out.
His first.
Never his first angle, which I hope it's the end of his participation in it.
Yeah.
Like he can be a character, off-screen character they talk about and stuff, but he's not. TV's not his thing. In front of the camera, TV's not his thing. But I'm fine with like that being, because you kind of had to have him on camera to do this. Like you can't just say that they did that to Tony Khan. So if this was your end game, this is what you wanted to get to get to whatever comes next with these guys. You kind of had to have him on screen to do it. It's probably why they did it at Daly's place, where he's like more comfortable or whatever. Might be why we had all the production problems we did, because he might have been thinking about nothing but, oh my God, I have to do an in-ring thing for really 2 hours.
With everything.
I bet he like jizzed in his pants though when he took the Tony Khan driver, like personal dream of himself.
He doesn't like enunciate his words ever, and according to the injury he has now, he will never again. I want to agree with you that this was the plan from the start.
Was there evidence that it wasn't?
I mean, yeah, like in hindsight, and that's, again, this is,
so you know what the payoff is. I don't
know what the payoff is. Well, because I don't know where
what the payoff for the story I just was talking about.
Yeah.
These are all. I mean, that's a story, and then this is what comes from this point forward is also going to be both a continuation of this story, but a new story because Tony Khan is out of the picture now.
Yeah, I want you to be right, and I want this to be what's happening.
I'm serious. If there's evidence of what I just said not being the case,
I'm not saying that there isn't evidence. I'm saying this was potentially too slow of a burn to when this happened. I go, okay, I see what they did, but I don't feel anything extra for it. Because then they kicked out Kenny Omega. He's coming back next week, so there's going to be something with him. So now I got to wait for Adam.
He's coming back to potentially his douchebag ex-friends in charge now.
No, that's fine.
For the first time.
That makes sense because they very clearly, Kenny Omega's fired, right? Because he's a face. And then Paige, they gave like what?
He was not fired from AEW though. Kenny Omega was fired from the Elite.
I know that, but like Adam Page, they gave a different
a paid suspension.
Is that what it was? Yeah. So like now, but they very clearly were like they handed that to you. I think they get a little nuanced with the storytelling where again, you have to sit here and explain to me what they're doing. And I'm like, I don't know if all that little shit is necessary leading up to it, or just come out a little hotter.
No, it's not. I don't think it's necessary.
You're just saying
but
that's
it's
what
an
it
alternative way of telling a story. That
Yeah.
like all we've ever had for the last 30 years is one way of seeing a wrestling story
Yeah.
told in America, at least.
Right.
Now there's a different way. That
Yeah.
it is more nuanced and it does take more effort from the viewer.
I think that's what it. I think you just nailed it. I think it's just something I'm not familiar with.
100%.
And it's
And it's not
like it's not. I feel annoyance, but I think it's just an unfamiliar.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, it's not your fault because all we've had is
like,
one way. When people still are like, well, they should do longer video packages on AEW. Like, no, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
What they're doing is exactly the right kind of video package for the way that they want to
Right.
present their show.
Right.
It's a different thing. And people are like, oh, this feels weird. It feels weird because one douchebag decided he was going to be the only wrestling company that could live. So for a long time he was.
I think to your point, next week do a video package. Show me the breadcrumbs that led to here, and then you can go, son of a bitch.
I would dig that too.
Yeah.
I also don't need it because I do like.
Well, I do apparently.
I like him. Like that's fine, and you can, and that's a legit like. You can say I don't like it as much because I would like it to be more like plain and laid out.
Like I said, I don't think I do like it. Like now that we're talking about it, like this is cool, but like I don't have the memory to go back to what middle managey things were they doing with Darby and Sting?
Reasonable. It's
That
reasonable
was
even if you
forever
just
ago.
didn't want to pay that much attention.
Yeah.
It is the stories that they tell when they do them this way, though. It is like specifically for like it is the intent is to make it so you can like then look back and be like, oh god damn, they were doing cool. Like I always make the movie comparison, but that's just because it's the other biggest media that I watch. Like sometimes like a popcorn movie or whatever is more satisfying on first watch, but then like Killers of the Flower Moon or whatever is more satisfying if you watch it a couple times and then think about it and like go back. And that's what they're going for. Like to be, like the smell of my own farts kind of thing, but they are definitely going like for you expecting more effort from the audience. But that's what their audience, I think, is. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. I like it.
So here's an opportunity to build on your diehard audience, right? So tell me what you did. So then I'm looking for it now. Right. So, and that's more of an inclination for me to watch week over week and to really pay attention to your show. If you're like, hey, this is how we tell stories.
Yeah. Like I think that would be a good idea for them to like make it more plain to people. At least like, this probably would be a good situation to do it in because it's the one that's going to have a lot of eyes on it. Say like, and not in so many words, but find a clever way to say, so this is how we tell stories. It's not the same as the stuff that you're probably used to.
Yeah.
And like, a video package probably wouldn't be terrible for doing that. It's being like, hey, look at these. These are all the breadcrumbs that we laid out for you. They usually don't go back and show you. You have to do it yourself. Dude, and then you're like, oh, damn. But
they're douchey middle managers. Have them make a PowerPoint. Where I
do think they were doing shit like that. I think they were doing PowerPoint adjacent stuff. Oh, you mean now? Like
now.
But now they've grabbed power, so I expect them to change at least slightly.
Yeah.
Because they're in a different position now than they were 2 weeks ago, or even more so than they were 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because they've been weaseling their way in. Now they got in. Now they took the guy out. Now they are in charge.
Yeah.
And looking at the camera at the end of this. And saying, all right, guys, get ready. We're about to change the world.
Yeah.
It like said that to camera too.
Yeah.
So I expect the characters to change now.
Yeah.
I would be disappointed if they don't change at all.
Now be straight up fucking pieces of shit. Maybe that's like what I've been calling for forever.
I expect there to be production stuff that changes because they're in charge of the show now. I assume.
I hope
if that's at least if that's the direction they're going in, that they're in charge. I want there to be like visible things. Some things change, probably for the worse for a couple of weeks or whatever, on the product that we're watching on television.
Now, one thing I'm not going to love is if next week on Dynamite, they go like, oh, they tap the mic like, can you hear us this week? We're in charge now. You can hear us this week.
Yeah.
That's when like...
Don't draw attention to your actual flaws.
But again, that's where I'm like suspicious because, again, this is new to me. They could do something like, oh, they fucked the audio up last week on purpose just so they could use it as storyline to say we're better at this than Tony Khan the next week. Shit like that, where like you can look at things in the rear view.
That if they did that, I would be suspicious of that.
But
like I would think that feels like
that's why I'm perpetually suspicious of this type of storytelling, because again, it does feel like you can course correct week over week. But what you're saying makes 100% sense. This is a me problem.
It's the same thing with the Mercedes thing too. Like you can't expect everybody to do what I do or what some other like hardcore AEW people do. And like, oh, she is a heel. Let's go back and see that first promo. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, that's what they were doing. Yeah. Because nobody knew that then. Nobody was supposed to know that then. But they do know that people like me are going to go back then and be like, oh, is that what they were doing this whole time? So basically what I do to like decide whether it was a course correction or if this was the plan from day one is look for evidence within the story that doesn't match up to the like this being an escalating thing,
right?
Or whatever, or the Mercedes thing being what they were doing the whole time. Mm-hmm. And if there's stuff within that I can be like, hey, that's weird. They wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
If like, because it wouldn't fit that story, then I could be like, okay, yeah, maybe this was a pivot or this was a whatever. And right. Not that pivoting is a bad thing; it's a good thing. But it
gave us a pretty good
to give them full credit, like I am. I do think it's like
you have mapped out how this goes very well. I think having like an available library would behoove them.
Very helpful,
right?
I mean, Tony Khan
they're
keeps
trying to,
saying, and he tweeted like a picture on Max of like AEW on Max. I think that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to go to Max. Yeah. And he said, like, I can't wait for our entire library to be available. I expect it to be within our next media deal. So I assume they're going to Max. It'll be very exciting. I don't have to go back and check old DVRs or like, get other content in other ways.
VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Because like to your point, and like we could talk about this for another 20 minutes, but I think we've made all of our points here. I hope it goes. Like, dude, I'm excited for Dynamite next week. I don't remember the last time I was excited for Dynamite. Like, for real. Like, up and down. I don't know what they're doing. It's like an entire power change kind of thing. Kenny Omega's coming back.
Yeah. We're finding out who's going to challenge for the world title.
Yeah. Like we don't know what Adam Copeland and Malachi Black still have to start their feud.
We got a bunch further down the line, but now we got a bunch of options of like potential returning heroes to save AEW from the elite in their dastardly ways.
Punk.
Darby Allin.
I mean, well, hang on.
One of the pillars. Got MJF too, who's going to be a babyface when he comes back.
He can't not be a babyface. Yeah. He can't not be.
Whenever that note hits,
I'm throwing my
whatever's
in my hands. I'm throwing out the window. I'm gonna be so excited.
Rocky's getting tossed out the window.
Sorry, it's fine. He won't even feel it.
All right, I think that does it, right, for Dynamite this week. Thanks for joining us, guys. Go check out the WWE portion of Blue Thunder Pod this week, dropping right at the same time as this one, to hear Dave and I do a mock draft for Raw and SmackDown and our reviews of those shows as well. Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. 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 Bye.